Phoenix Nights. Chapter 862. Great Void Heaven Temple, Lingyun Peak. The Lingyun Peak was one of the many floating mountains, and it was chosen by Dongbua Shui-ing as his residence. There was only a single cave abode on the entire peak, and there was only a single puppet servant. Dongbua Shui-ing transformed into a streak of light and landed at the entrance of the cave abode located halfway up the Lingyun Peak. Master! The green-robed female servant greeted respectfully. She looked at her master curiously. Her master was indeed unique. Most inner hall elders would either roam the outside world or spend most of their time cultivating in their cave abodes. However, her master spent most of his time cultivating in the Hall of Time. That place was extremely valuable, and he had spent 450,000 contribution points just to cultivate for 180 million years. It was simply too extravagant. Other inner hall elders would occasionally go there, but they wouldn't dare to be so extravagant all the time. Dongbua Shui-ing entered his cave abode and found a pavilion by the side to sit down. He sat down and drank alone while waiting silently. The green-robed female servant was slightly puzzled, but she still waited respectfully by the side. In just a short moment, "Elder Dongbua," a voice sounded from outside. "Let him in," Dongbua Shui-ing instructed. The green-robed female servant hurriedly went out to welcome him. As an inner hall elder, one shouldn't barge into his cave abode without permission. Very soon, a young man walked in with an ordinary-looking storage bracelet in his hands. "Elder Dongbua, this is the item that the hall master ordered me to send over." Dongbua Shui-ing stretched out his hand, and the storage bracelet flew into his palm. He easily refined it and inspected it. Within the storage bracelet, there were a total of 3,600 daggers. This was a set of flying daggers, and it was known as the Cold Shadow. These flying daggers were imbued with arrays, and they could attack as one. However, Dongbua Shui-ing didn't care about it. What he cared about was the number of flying daggers in this set. It was perfect for him to perfect one of his absolute moves, the Fish Dragon Kill. This set of high-graded Void God flying dagger weapons might be huge in quantity, but it was not enough because every single weapon required very little materials. Shui-ing was quite satisfied with spending 600,000 contribution points. After all, the terminus weapon would be even more powerful if it was attached to a powerful weapon. Just relying on the terminus energy attack was still too weak. Apart from the dagger, there were a few other miscellaneous items in the storage bracelet. Including the flying dagger, the total cost was 1,500,000 merit points. Although it was expensive, these were all treasures. Even if he didn't use them, he could sell them off in the future. He wouldn't be at a disadvantage. "You may leave," Dongbua Shui-ing ordered. "Yes." The young man bowed respectfully and retreated. 9 Cloud Great Land. Dongbua Shui-ing closely followed and began receiving missions through the communication talisman. Experts from the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, Eastern Unicorn Sacred World, and Myriad Ancient Sacred World had entered the 9 Cloud Great Land. The ancient sacred religion and ancestor mother religion had similarly infiltrated into the 9 Cloud Great Land. After accepting the mission, Dongbua Shui-ing spent some time familiarizing himself with these flying knives, and after he finished a pot of wine, he stood up. "If a friend comes to see me, tell them that I'm out, and I'll be out for a long time," Dongbua Shui-ing said. "Yes," the green-robed female servant respectfully acknowledged. At the same time, she mumbled inwardly, "This master of mine really can't stop." He had just come out from closed-door cultivation, yet he was about to leave again. The other inner hall elders were much more relaxed. "Who?" The green-robed female servant sent off Dongbua Shui-ing with her eyes. What she did not know was that while other experts did not care about time, Dongbua Shui-ing had been cultivating in the Palace Hall of Time for the sake of saving time. He was someone who could not afford to waste time. This time when Dongbua Shui-ing came out of closed-door cultivation, many true God disciples saw him. Naturally, some inner hall elders invited Dongbua Shui-ing to meet them. Even Lei Qingqingru and Lei Qingqingru came to pay their respects. It's a pity that only when they came did they find out that Dongwu Shuang had left, and it seemed to have been a long time. To a powerful cultivator, saying that it had been a long time was an exaggeration. The nine-cloud great land was vast and contained many experts. Even if a primal chaos giant tore through the time-space tunnel and rushed over, it would take a very long time to travel across the entire nine-cloud great land. Furthermore, the strongest existence living in seclusion on the nine-cloud great land, the cosmos god Juni Fazu, had long given the order to forbid the construction of spatial teleportation arrays. Just like how the 5 great sacred worlds had a large number of teleportation arrays, it was hard for one to travel, yet the nine-cloud great land did not have any teleportation arrays, making it even harder to travel. This was also the reason why Juni Fazu had increased the difficulty for the 2 superpowers to infiltrate the nine-cloud great land. Without the teleportation arrays, the true apex experts sent over by the 2 superpowers were few in number. As for the ordinary experts, they could not shake the entire nine-cloud great land. After all, there were many native experts, and there were even primal chaos giants emerging. Hong Long Long. A white-robed, white-haired male figure appeared in the distorted space. Following that, the surrounding space began recovering. Nine-cloud great land? This white-robed, white-haired male wore a silver mask on his face, turning his hair white. Furthermore, he wore a mask so that his appearance would not be recognized. He was still quite vigilant against the ancient sacred religion. Looking around him, the law suppression of this world was extremely strong. It was only slightly weaker than the 7-star oceanic sacred world. Furthermore, the vast aura of this world seemed more comfortable. It is indeed a remnant piece of the primitive ancient sacred world. Even though it is slightly smaller than the sacred world, the aura here is nourishing to the soul. It is of great help to some of the weaker lifeforms. As for void gods, it is negligible. Dongwu Shuang deduced inwardly. The cultivation at the lowest level of the nine-cloud great land was much more formidable than in the sacred world. It is easy to reach the nine-cloud great land since inquisitive Sky Hall Master helped me teleport over. But returning back is troublesome. Dongwu Shuang felt helpless. There were very few primal chaos giants in the entire nine-cloud great land. There was not a single one who knew how to teleport through an ultra-long distance. Even though Juni Fazu was a cosmos god, he could not do it. If he wanted to return to the Great Void Heaven Temple, he could only travel through the primal chaos void. Amen. Nine-cloud great land, the danger here isn't as high as the boundary of the void. It is still suitable for me. I'll do my best and earn as many origin world rocks as possible here. Dongwu Shuang thought. South. Dongwu Shuang's figure disappeared. He began moving through the void. Even though his current attainments in the Void Walker lineage allowed him to tear through a time-space tunnel, as Dongwu Shuang had to observe carefully, he had to determine his surrounding position first. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master's ultra-long distance teleportation would result in a huge deviation. Furthermore, the map of the nine-cloud great land given by the Great Void Heaven Temple was too simple. It only recorded some important locations and superpowers. As for the weaker superpowers? There were too many changes. A luxurious ship was flying in the sky. There were many protectors on board. These protectors were all at the true god level, and the captain of the protectors standing by the side of the ship was even at the void god level. Amen? There are a total of 9 void gods on this ship, and there is even a Unity Realm expert. He must be quite a superpower. Dongwu Shuang, who was currently traveling through the void to ascertain his location, immediately discovered this ship through the void. Those at the Unity Realm were considered experts in the 5 great sacred worlds, and were naturally experts in the 9-cloud great land too. If they were in small places like the primal chaos land or within the cosmos, they would be unparalleled overlords. Impudent! When Dongwu Shuang appeared in front of the ship, the protectors on the ship could not help but roar out. Even though they roared, these protectors understood that this white-robed, white-haired male was not someone to be trifled with because most Unity Realm experts could teleport. Naturally, some origin birth realm experts who specialized in the void could do it too. No matter what, he was considered an expert. Very soon, a group of people came out from within the ship. The leader was a red-robed girl. Her eyes were bright and beautiful. She looked at the white-robed, white-haired male outside the ship. "Who are you? You dare to obstruct the worship of my Sky Sword Mountain?" the red-robed girl said. Chapter 863. Heavenly Sword Mountain? Dongwu Shuang felt his heart jolting. Even though inquisitive Sky Hall Master's ultra-long distance teleportation deviation was huge, it was still possible to delineate the approximate region. And within this region, there was a relatively big superpower called the Sky Sword Mountain. The leader of this superpower, Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master, was a Unity Realm expert who had cultivated for a very long time. According to the intelligence reports of the Great Void Heaven Temple, the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master should be at the 4th level Star Pagoda strength. Usually, those who could pass through the 3rd level would be at the peak of the Unity Realm, and they would be able to slaughter a large group of ordinary Unity Realm experts. For him to be able to pass through the 4th level, usually, he would be an unparalleled existence at the Unity Realm like the Inner Hall Elders of the Great Void Heaven Temple. That was why the Great Void Heaven Temple had records of Heavenly Sword Mountain. Standing at the front of the ship, Dongwu Shuang asked, "May I know which direction is the Great Rosy Clouds Marsh?" The Great Rosy Clouds Marsh was also in this area. The other party was a force of Heavenly Sword Mountain. He couldn't just ask for directions to Heavenly Sword Mountain, right? "You actually don't know where the Great Rosy Clouds Marsh is?" Beside the red-robed girl, an old man shouted. "You are also a Unity Realm expert. Don't you even have a map of the surrounding area? Are you toying with us?" As a member of Heavenly Sword Mountain's upper echelon, he naturally had the confidence to shout. Heavenly Sword Mountain was an overlord in the surrounding area. "I've been in seclusion for too long, and I've only just made a breakthrough. I haven't been to many places before this, so it's true that I don't know." Dongwu Shuang smiled and asked again, "Can you tell me the direction of the Great Rosy Clouds Marsh?" "Humph!" The old man stared at Dongwu Shuang with suspicion. "Uncle Chuan, he's just asking for directions." The red-clothed lady smiled and pointed to the left. "The Rosy Clouds Pool is in that direction. An ordinary Unity Realm expert would be able to reach it within a month by traveling through the void." Dongwu Shuang nodded. "Thank you." So, he disappeared into thin air. The red-clothed woman watched as the white-clothed, white-haired, silver-masked man in front of the ship disappeared just like that. She could not help but feel somewhat stunned. Are they really here to ask for directions? The elder was also somewhat puzzled. At the same time, he carefully inspected his surroundings. Perhaps, he might have broken through to the Unity Realm. Previously, his strength was low and he rarely ventured outside. "This is also normal," the red-robed girl said. "Let's go. We are about to reach the Heavenly Sword Mountain. It has been a long time since I last saw Father." Swoosh! The huge ship continued to fly and quickly entered the void, advancing at high speed in the void. Dongwu Shuang reappeared at the same spot. They should be heading towards Heavenly Sword Mountain. Dongwu Shuang thought to himself. Although the ship had already entered the void, he could still clearly sense the traces left behind by the other party as they traveled through the void. The direction of the Great Rosy Clouds Marsh. That red-robed woman wasn't lying. With reference to the position of the sun in the sky and the direction of the Great Rosy Clouds Pool, Dongwu Shuang was able to determine his current location. Naturally, he could also deduce the direction of Heavenly Sword Mountain. Judging from the direction the enemy ship was flying in, it was also in the direction of Heavenly Sword Mountain. "Let's go to Heavenly Sword Mountain," Dongwu Shuang thought. Heavenly Sword Mountain is practically the strongest religion in this region. The sect master of Heavenly Sword Mountain is extremely powerful. I have to think of a way to determine if he is a believer of the two religions. Dongwu Shuang thought. If he could ascertain that he was a believer of the two religions, his soul would be branded. Naturally, he would be killed without mercy. But it was difficult to ascertain the identity of the other party. That was because the soul brand was usually concealed. Even though the three great sacred worlds had researched a secret technique that could detect it, it was extremely difficult. Even with Dongbui Shui Ying's comprehension ability, he had spent more than 100 million years in the Palace Hall of Time to learn it. The difficulty of investigating the believers of the Ancestor Mother was relatively low. It was even harder to investigate the believers of the Sacred Master. The Sacred Master had brilliant techniques, and it was extremely difficult to investigate the soul brand he left on the believer. Usually, he had to completely seal the strength of the other party so that the other party could not retaliate. Only then could he investigate the other party's soul. The ship was traveling through the void. The red-robed girl stood on the deck of the ship. Looking at the surrounding distorted void, she had a smile on her face. "We are reaching the Heavenly Sword Mountain soon. The sect master will definitely be happy knowing that you have broken through to the Void God realm this time." The old man chuckled by the side. "Amen." The red-robed girl nodded. Suddenly, the void in front of them distorted. A huge hand grabbed hold of the ship, causing the ship to shake violently and stop. "What is happening?" The red-robed girl and the old man were both startled. The surrounding protectors were also greatly alarmed. If one said that Dongbui Shui was considered gentle when he traveled through the void to intercept them, then at this moment, it was clearly much more tyrannical. The ship was pulled out from the void and into the real world. The ship stopped in midair. There were three figures standing in midair ahead. They were all at the Unity Realm. "They are the three elders from the Blaze Valley." The old man was greatly startled when he saw that. He immediately transmitted to the red-robed girl by the side. "The elders from the Blaze Valley have actually arrived at the entrance of my Sky Sword Mountain. The situation isn't good. In a while, you should hurry up and escape. I'll hold them back," the old man said with a clear voice. "The three of you, why are you obstructing the warship of my Sky Sword Mountain? Haha, Sky Sword Mountain. Soon, there will be no more Sky Sword Mountain. I was still wondering who alerted our warning array. So it is the precious daughter of Old Ghost Sky Sword. Haha, capture her alive." The three elders from the Blaze Valley were relatively happy. Their voices were still reverberating when a huge red silk net appeared in the surroundings. This silk net covered the sky and enveloped the entire ship. Even the void had been sealed. Clearly, they were very cunning. They were speaking on the surface, but in reality, they had acted in the dark. The old man roared furiously as he turned into a thunderbolt that clashed against the silk net above. Nevertheless, the fiery red silk net was incomparably firm, and the thunderbolt could not break through it at all. "None of you can escape." One of the three elders from the Blaze Valley opened his mouth, spurting out black fog. The black fog was not obstructed by the silk net at all. It directly permeated through and wrapped around the red-robed girl. Clearly, he wanted to capture her. Saying it was slow, but the black fog permeated through at lightning speed. Only that old man who turned into a thunderbolt clashed against the black fog, yet he could not move it at all. How could this be? At this moment, the red-robed girl's heart was filled with fear and unease. This was because she remembered the words of the other party. Soon, there will be no more Sky Sword Mountain. Moreover, they were clearly at the outer perimeter of the Sky Sword Mountain, yet the other party was actually able to set up a warning array here. Clearly, the internal situation of the Sky Sword Mountain was very bad. The thunderbolt and the black fog clashed. However, the black fog was slightly superior as it continued to wrap around the red-robed girl. Suddenly, "Hua!" A dazzling sword light arced across the sky and broke through the fiery red silk net that covered the sky. It also broke through the black fog. The profound mysteries contained within the sword light easily caused the black fog to dissipate. The sky regained its sunny state. A white-haired, white-robed man who was wearing a mask walked out from the void and looked at the three elders from the Blaze Valley. "It's him?" The red-robed girl, the old man, and the guards who were originally in despair looked at the white-haired, white-robed man in shock. They recognized him as the one who asked for directions earlier. We are the elders of the Blaze Valley." The three elders could feel the formless pressure and restriction in the surrounding void. Furthermore, the might of the sword light earlier had caused them to tremble. They understood that the person in front of them was at least in existence at the peak of the Unity realm. He wasn't someone they could fight against. "Please kill them. They are the mortal enemies of my Sky Sword Mountain," the old man on the ship said. The Sky Sword Mountain and the Blaze Valley were indeed mortal enemies. "Spare us. We have no intention of offending Senior," the three elders said hurriedly. Their attitudes were very humble because if that sword light were to strike again, they would have died. "Hand over all your treasures and I will spare your lives," Dombush Shuang said. The three elders were stunned. Following which, they did not hesitate to take out all their treasures. Even their storage wristbands and weapons were taken out. Even their robes were condensed using their void divine energy. "That's all. We have taken out all our treasures," the three elders said. As long as they could survive, why would they care about treasures? If they lost their lives, everything would be gone. "Let's go." Dombush Shuang felt that the three elders were rather tactful. He flipped his hand and kept all the treasures. The Sky Sword Mountain and Blaze Valley were mortal enemies? This had nothing to do with him. It was already not bad that he could save them after asking for directions. As for the conflict between the Sky Sword Mountain and Blaze Valley, he could not be bothered. He would only kill the believers of the two great religions and some true devils. As for those who wanted to kill him, he would get rid of them as well. As for those ordinary conflicts of gratitude and grudges, unless it involved him, there was no need for him to bother about them. "It's fine as long as I can get the treasures," Dombush Shuang chuckled. Ever since he came to the Nine-Cloud Great Land, he had decided to plunder more treasures. Chapter 864. He actually let him go? The elder was slightly anxious. The red-robed girl sighed inwardly. According to their thoughts, they would naturally kill the Blaze Valley elder. However, it was obvious that this mysterious expert had no killing intent towards the Blaze Valley. "Father!" The red-robed girl used a communication treasure to send a message to her father. "What happened to the Sky Sword Mountain?" "Easy, cultivate outside and don't come back. The Sky Sword Mountain was ambushed by the Blaze Valley. I am currently dealing with the Blaze Valley Master." The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master didn't get distracted after sending the message. The current situation was much worse than what he had described. The Blaze Valley had prepared for a long time this time. There were experts who entered the Blaze Valley with the identity of a consecrator. They even used the silver silk soul-leading poison to ambush him. Following which, the battle erupted. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master's strength was originally on par with the Blaze Valley Master's. The Blaze Valley had prepared for a long period of time, sparing no expense to buy the silver silk soul-leading poison, and had even succeeded in their plot. Now that they had launched a surprise attack, the Blaze Valley had the absolute advantage. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was currently doing his best to resist, but in reality, he was already at an absolute disadvantage. "Who?" The distant Dombush Shuang kept the treasure. The red-robed girl said, "Senior, this junior is EZ, the daughter of the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master. Now that my Sky Sword Mountain is facing a calamity, this junior is shamelessly requesting Senior to help my Sky Sword Mountain overcome this crisis." She could feel that this mysterious expert had a good impression of her. Hence, she could only shamelessly ask for help. "Ask me to help? Why?" Dombush Shuang said. The red-robed girl was slightly embarrassed. She said, "After this matter is resolved, my father will definitely thank you. Senior, you saved us. We will never forget your kindness. Now that Heaven Sword Mountain is facing a great calamity, we are all anxious. However, we have no choice but to beg Senior." The old man beside him pleaded respectfully. His face was filled with anxiety as well. However, his heart was very calm. Which old man who could cultivate to the Unity realm was a fool? He knew the character of the person in front of him. Hence, he used gratitude and friendship to persuade him. "With just a few words, you want me to risk my life? Ha! Dongbu Shuang laughed casually. Let me give you a piece of advice. The Sky Sword Mountain is currently at a disadvantage. I'm afraid it won't be long before it gets destroyed. With your strength, you will only be sending yourselves to death. With that, Dongbu Shuang vanished into thin air. Why did he leave? He left? He said that my Heavenly Sword Mountain will be destroyed soon? Easy and the rest were a little flustered. At this moment, they did not dare to send a message to their Grandmaster. After all, their Grandmaster was fighting with the Blaze Valley Master. As a result, they sent a message to the other upper echelons of Heavenly Sword Mountain. Soon the news came. The situation was extremely bad. Although the battle had just erupted, Heavenly Sword Mountain was already at an absolute disadvantage. Some of the reverends and elders were trying to think of a way to escape. Mirage World. Dongbu Shuiying's body was hidden in the void as he slowly walked forward. With his current attainments in the mirage and the concealment techniques of the Void Walkers, the two forces fighting on the Sky Sword Mountain would not be able to detect him. An unseen ripple enveloped the entire Sky Sword Mountain. This was the strongest domain-related absolute art of the Holy Land Great Void Heaven Temple, Plate Ripple Diagram. As the only ripple-related cosmos-ranked absolute art, the domain it covered was extremely vast. In addition, the law suppression of the Nine-Cloud Great Land was slightly weaker than that of the Sacred World. Dongbu Shuiying's current plate ripple diagram domain covered a total of 150 million kilometers. All the experts on the Sky Sword Mountain were within his scouting range. Previously, he had made use of his scouting to ascertain the situation before persuading that young lady to leave. The reason why he did not agree to help the Sky Sword Mountain was because, in the eyes of Dongbu Shuiying, the Sky Sword Mountain and Blaze Valley were targets that he wanted to scout. As long as they were believers of the two great religions, he would kill them all. Furthermore, with his current strength, it was not suitable for him to bring the young lady and the others along. The Sky Sword Mountain sect master seems to be injured? He is completely suppressed. He shouldn't be able to hold on for long. Dongbu Shuiying observed through the ripples. There is a Peak Unity Realm expert here. He seems to be from the Blaze Valley. South. Dongbu Shuiying teleported over. Within a dilapidated hall of the Sky Sword Mountain, a group of cultivators were gathered together. Among them, there were 5 Unity Realm experts who were working together. An array appeared and revolved above them. There was also a black snake constantly slithering in the surroundings. There was also a dazzling radiance being emitted from one of the Unity Realm experts, illuminating the surroundings. The 3 Peak Masters can still hold on. It is a pity that your Supreme Elder is already dead. Your sect master has even been poisoned by the Silver Silk Soul-Eating poison. When our Valley Master arrives, he will be able to easily crush all of you. A black-robed expert with a bull's head spoke with a booming voice. He was rather pleased with himself. Occasionally, he would see some Sky Sword Mountain disciples fleeing for their lives. With a wave of his hand, a black flame would fly out and engulf those Sky Sword Mountain disciples. Those Sky Sword Mountain disciples could only let out a terrified scream before they turned into ashes. Boom, boom! Occasionally, there would be some explosions in different regions of the Sky Sword Mountain. After all, this was the headquarters of the Sky Sword Mountain. There were still many arrays around. Clearly, the disciples of the Sky Sword Mountain were fighting to the best of their abilities. The Blaze Valley's side had also suffered some losses. It is a pity that the Supreme Elder has been surrounded and killed by them. Sect Master has even been poisoned. The 3 Peak Masters, 2 Elders and the disciples were desperately holding on. All of them felt a chill in their hearts. Amen? The black-robed expert with a bull's head looked into the distance. Even though their side had made ample preparations, their losses were still rather huge. Lao Yu is bent on annihilating the Sky Sword Mountain. The Sky Sword Mountain has existed for so long. No matter how well prepared they are, the price they have to pay to completely annihilate them is not small. Occasionally, he would unleash black flames which streaked across the sky and attacked the disciples of the Sky Sword Mountain. This scene caused the 3 Peak Masters and the other experts of the Sky Sword Mountain to be filled with rage. because the sect that they treated as their home was currently facing annihilation. Many disciples were being slaughtered. Damn it! What should we do? What should we do? All of them were anxious and helpless. If they focused on defending, they could still barely hold on. If they were to escape, the Blaze Valley's Vice Valley Master would naturally take the opportunity to kill them. Suddenly, they looked in shock as a white-robed, white-haired male walked out from the void. He was wearing a mask and wielding a sword with a single hand. He slashed out furiously at the black-robed expert with a sword. At this moment, the black-robed expert with a bull's head felt as if his entire body had fallen into a swamp. Layers of restraints were entangling him, causing his movements to become much slower. One could see that sword light directly slashing on his body. Pang! His entire body was sent flying. He clashed against the wall of this broken palace hall. What? He was defeated in a single move? The three peak masters and the other cultivators of the Sky Sword Mountain felt a desire to live when they saw this. What is going on? The black-robed expert with a bull's head was still in a daze. What he did not know was that with Dongbu Shui Ying's current attainments in the plate ripple diagram, he had reached the 5th level Star Pagoda standard. If Dongbu Shui Ying used his full strength to suppress him, not only would he not be able to move, he would even be crushed to death. The gap between the 3rd and 5th level Star Pagoda was just like how a peak Unity Realm expert could slaughter ordinary Unity Realm experts. The gap was too huge. This plate ripple diagram was the strongest domain type absolute art. By relying on it, it had reached the boundary of the primal chaos realm. This black-robed expert with a bull's head was naturally at the mercy of Dongbu Shui Ying. But Dongbu Shui Ying had to restrain himself since he could not be recognized by the two great religions. Wang! Dongbu Shui Ying sent the black-robed expert flying with a sword. He saw the eyes of the black-robed expert with a dazed look. Clearly, he had fallen for the Mirage Illusory Technique. After falling for the Illusory Technique, he could no longer resist. That was why he could execute a secret technique to investigate. Let's see if he is a believer of the two great religions. Dongbu Shui Ying thought. He stealthily executed the secret technique, tunneling into the body of the black-robed expert and piercing into the soul of the other party without any resistance. Chapter 865. A green brand appeared on the soul of the black-robed bull-headed expert. This made Dongbu Shui Ying feel goosebumps in his heart. A believer of the Ancestor Mother? The first person I investigated after coming to the Heavenly Cloud continent is a believer of the Ancestor Mother? According to the intelligence gathered before coming, the Heavenly Cloud continent was dominated by native experts. The two great religions and the three great sacred worlds only had a small influence, since the number of experts they sent over was too little. Hong! In the eyes of others, after Dongbu Shui Ying sent the black-robed bull-headed expert flying with a sword, he followed up with a series of sword lights. Many sword lights arced through the sky and enveloped the black-robed bull-headed expert, directly killing him on the spot. Good! Truly formidable! The three peak masters, 2 elders, and a group of disciples of the Sky Sword Mountain were all excited. The one who died was the Blaze Valley's Vice Valley Master, the second strongest in the Blaze Valley. Yet, he was actually crushed and killed so easily. Many thanks, Senior, for saving my life. Many thanks, Senior. All of them respectfully expressed their gratitude. The sudden change from despair made them feel grateful towards Dongbu Shui Ying. Furthermore, they could determine that this mysterious expert in front of them was standing on their side. Dongbu Shui Ying nodded. He waved his hand and kept the treasures left behind by the black-robed bull-headed expert. He thought, this is the second strongest expert in the Blaze Valley, and he is a believer of the Ancestor Mother. That means the strongest Valley Master should be a believer of the Ancestor Mother too. According to his understanding, there were 2 scenarios for the 2 great religions to spread their religion on the 9-cloud Great Land. The first scenario was to spread their religion wantonly within their territory. Even the weak transcendents would have to worship the Sacred Master, Ancestor Mother. The second scenario was not within their territory, and they would not dare to do it openly. Otherwise, it would be easy for a religion to be exposed if everyone from the weak transcendents to the void gods were believers. The moment they were exposed, the three great sacred worlds would definitely send experts over and exterminate the entire religion. Hence, they would usually be more careful and concealed in places outside their territory. For instance, they would let the higher-ups of a religion become believers. Even though there were few higher-ups, their influence was huge. The Vice Valley Master was a believer. The Valley Master was probably a believer too. Senior, our Heavenly Sword Mountain is currently facing a great calamity. Our Sect Master is also facing a dangerous situation. I wonder if Senior is able to lend us a hand and help our Sect Master? One of the Peak Masters said hastily. The others were also begging for his help. To be able to easily defeat the Blaze Valley's Deputy Valley Master, his strength was probably on the same level as his Sect Master and the Blaze Valley Master. Even if there was a difference, it wouldn't be by much. Although the Vice Valley Master had been killed, the Blaze Valley Master was the strongest. If he didn't die, the Sky Sword Mountain could still be destroyed. Valley Master of Blaze Valley? I heard that he's extremely powerful. Domebush Shuang hesitated. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Hurry, hurry, hurry. None of the people present dared to hope that this mysterious expert would agree immediately. It was already good enough that he was willing to go and take a look. Very soon, Domebush Shuang and the others arced through the sky and arrived at the place where the battle in the Sky Sword Mountain was the most intense. Far away in midair, the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was currently engaged in a life-and-death battle with the Blaze Valley Master. Although he was flying over, Domebush Shuang was actually executing his mirage and illusion technique to deal with the two Unity Realm experts of the Blaze Valley who were closest to him. At the moment when they fell into an illusion, Domebush Shuang had also executed a secret technique to invade their souls. They aren't believers. Domebush Shuang consecutively checked on the two of them. After ascertaining that they weren't believers, he immediately sent them out of the illusion, causing the two Unity Realm experts to feel fear. Not good. Sect Master is in danger. When Domebush Shuang was secretly checking on the two of them, the three Peak Masters were anxiously watching the battle from afar. They could tell that their Sect Master was in a terrible situation. Senior Master actually died? The Blaze Valley Master who was currently battling was a tall and big red-haired teenager. His entire body was covered in flames. He swept his gaze across the distant Shuang. So it is this silver-masked male who killed Teacher Uncle? However, there is no need to infuriate this mysterious expert. I will first use all my strength to deal with Old Ghost Sky Sword. Hong Hong. The Blaze Valley Master's entire body was surging with flames. He was like a miniature sun star. Every move he made was filled with terrifying might. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was a black-robed middle-aged man. His combat techniques were much more abundant. If it was during normal times, he wouldn't care about the Blaze Valley Master. But at this moment... the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master could sense that some of the silver threads had already tunneled into his soul. They were constantly tunneling, causing his soul to feel intense pain. Sometimes, he would even feel dizzy. This caused the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master to be unable to fight with all his strength. That was because moves that were too profound would exhaust a lot of his energy. He would defend with all his strength, and would only attack occasionally. At the start, it was still fine. But as the battle progressed, the silver thread soul-eating poison was seeping deeper and deeper into his soul, causing him to feel dizzy more and more frequently. Sect Master, an expert wearing a silver mask with white hair and white robes, has appeared. He defeated that stupid cow from the Blaze Valley in a single move. Now, he has even killed him. When the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master first received this news, he was extremely excited. Because the poison was constantly worsening, he thought that it would be hard for him to escape this calamity. The entire Sky Sword Mountain might even be annihilated. But now, hope had appeared. It's him? The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master had also noticed the white-robed, white-haired man who was together with the three Peak Masters. Ask him to make a move. Hurry up and ask him to make a move. Don't hesitate to pay any price. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master transmitted. Dombush Shuang stood there and listened to the advice of the three Peak Masters. He frowned and shook his head. This Blaze Valley Master's strength is extremely profound. Let me observe a little longer and understand more of his techniques. We can't wait any longer. Our sect master can't hold on any longer. The three Peak Masters were very anxious. They knew that know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. The more they observed and understood the techniques of the Blaze Valley Master, the more confident they would be during the battle. But their sect master might be finished at any moment. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was also very anxious. He couldn't help but feel dizzy. He forcefully produced sword light on the surface of his body to block the claw of the Blaze Valley Master. That claw caused many sword lights to shatter. A piece of flesh was torn from the chest of the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master. However, he managed to hold on. This is an all-out attack. I can't divert my attention to suppress the soul poison. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master could feel the silver threads seeping into his soul. Father, I heard that a white-haired, white-robed expert wearing a silver mask killed the Vice Valley Master of the Blaze Valley? This expert is the one who saved me previously. I feel that if we want to ask for his help, we can only take out our treasures. He has one weakness, and that is, he is a little greedy. Previously, he dealt with 3 elders of the Blaze Valley and let them go, but he took away all their treasures, even their robes and weapons. His daughter Ez transmitted. This caused the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master's heart to turn cold. Greedy? Great, I'm just afraid that he isn't greedy. This friend, so you saved my daughter previously and saved the Peak Masters. My Sky Sword Mountain is facing a huge crisis, and I hope that you can help me. After this matter is over, I am willing to give you all my treasures to thank you. The value of the treasures will definitely not be lower than 80 Origin World rocks. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master said loudly. In the distance, the originally hesitant Dombush Shuang immediately said, Since that's the case, I shall risk my life and fight. Chapter 866. Dombush Shuang dashed out instantly. The sword in his hand turned into a blinding sword light as it pierced towards the Blaze Valley Master. The Master of the Valley of Blazes' expression instantly changed. The lifespan of cultivators was very long because most of them were very cautious. If they weren't confident, they wouldn't easily intervene in a battle that had nothing to do with them. Otherwise, if he were to accidentally lose his life in a life or death battle, then everything would be for naught, and no matter how many treasures he had, it would be useless. Even if you want the treasure, you won't have the life to enjoy it. When the Blaze Valley Master forced the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master back with a punch, he flipped his hand and used his most ferocious killing move. Boom Shuang only felt his vision brightening up. Amidst the dazzling flames, there were layers of fist shadows that brought along an unending stream of power. Some of the weaker Unity Realm experts, even if there were more than 100 of them, would still be smashed into smithereens by this fist. Shuang was greatly startled. He immediately unleashed his sword light in an arc to parry against this horrifying chain of fist shadows. Following the collision, Dombush Shuang was also sent flying backwards. His body slammed into a mountain peak, and with a ping, half of the mountain peak directly crumbled. Dombush Shuang spat out a mouthful of blood. Not good. The 3 Peak Masters who were watching from the side were anxious. This expert's strength seems to be weaker than the Blaze Valley Master. You think you can ruin my plans? Leave your puny life behind. The Blaze Valley Master's aura soared into the sky. The sect leader of the Sky Sword Mountain, who originally wanted to use this chance to suppress the silver silk soul-eating poison in his soul, panicked when he saw the situation. He hastily transmitted a message. Be careful. The attacks of the Blaze Valley Master are extremely ferocious. However, he is still lacking in terms of movement techniques and exquisiteness. You must not fight him head-on. The sect master of Sky Sword Mountain was as immovable as a mountain. He only dared to take it head-on if his sword technique was strong enough. Therefore, just by looking at the battle between the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master and the Blaze Valley Master, one would not be able to tell how ferocious the Blaze Valley Master's attack was. "I'll join forces with you to get rid of him first." Heavenly Sword Mountain Sect Master also understood that it would be difficult for him to win against this mysterious expert in a one-on-one battle. He could only grit his teeth and continue to endure. "All right," Dongwu Shuang replied. He was deliberately disguising himself. He had long set a position for himself. He was a swordsman who specialized in domains and movement techniques, and his strength was at the 4th star pagoda level. Because there were quite a number of experts at this level in the 9-cloud Great Land. If he were to reveal his 5th level star pagoda strength, the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master and the others would likely inform others about it. Any 5th level star pagoda expert would attract the attention of the 3 great sacred worlds and the 2 great religions. Because there were very few at this level in the entire 9-cloud Great Land. Just the appearance of one was already worthy of suspicion. Unless it was a native expert with a growth trajectory that could be followed, the 2 great religions and 3 great sacred worlds would not just ignore an unfamiliar expert like this. "I was just testing his strength." Dongwu Shuang charged over once more. This time around, formless ripples spread out and enveloped the Blaze Valley Master, causing his expression to change. That was because his flying speed had been greatly reduced. This was after Dongwu Shuang had purposely concealed his true strength and was only able to unleash 10% of the plate ripple diagram's power. Hua hua hua! The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master charged over. One could see many sword lights pressing down like a mountain. The Blaze Valley Master felt his every movement being restricted. He could only send a palm forward, but this palm was clearly slower, and its power had been greatly reduced. The continuous sword lights swept over, forcing the Blaze Valley Master to fly backwards. There was a wound on his chest, and fresh blood spurted out. "And then?" The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was slightly startled. He actually gained the upper hand in a direct clash. Following that, he felt his head spinning. But he gritted his teeth and continued executing his sword techniques. Xiao! And in the distant, Dongwu Shuiying's figure flashed as he charged towards the Blaze Valley Master. Such a powerful domain restriction! It's this mysterious expert? The Blaze Valley Master was a little anxious. He was dealing with the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master's sword technique once again, but Dongwu Shuiying's sword light had already slashed over. The Blaze Valley Master wasn't proficient in movement techniques. Now that he was restricted and had to divert his attention to defend against the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master, even though he used a single palm to block, that sword light still cleaved onto his body. Half of his body was destroyed, but his flame-like body rapidly grew back. Not good. The Blaze Valley Master's expression changed. Let's take this chance to kill him. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was a little agitated. All right. Dongwu Shuang seemed to be filled with killing intent. This mysterious expert might be a little weak in frontal attacks, but his domain is extremely powerful. His sword techniques are also rather mystical. The Blaze Valley Master was anxious. This friend, isn't it because of the treasures? The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master is already deeply poisoned. As long as you and I work together, we will be able to kill him easily. At that time, all his treasures will belong to you. I am also willing to gift you treasures worth 80 Origin World Rocks. The Blaze Valley Master hurriedly said. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master's heart tightened. The 3 Peak Masters who were far away also became anxious. This mysterious expert was more greedy. For the sake of treasures, he was willing to participate in a life and death battle of the same level. And the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was definitely at a disadvantage against the Blaze Valley Master. If he were to really help the Blaze Valley Master, there was no doubt about the outcome of the battle. In fact, the battle might even become much easier. You are looking down on me too much. Dongwu Shuiying's voice was vast and mighty. The sharp sword in his hand didn't stop at all. treasures worth 100 origin world rocks. These are all the treasures I have. I will give them all to you. The Blaze Valley Master shouted. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master and the others who had just relaxed instantly became anxious. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master was even more anxious. Because all the treasures he had were not even worth 100 origin world rocks. Selah. Another ray of sword light. Under the collaboration of the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master, it heavily injured the Blaze Valley Master once again. It caused more than half of the Blaze Valley Master's body to be destroyed. This time, the recovery of his body was obviously much slower. Retreat. Everyone, retreat. The Blaze Valley Master was extremely unwilling. However, he still transmitted a message to his subordinates. As for himself, when he was being attacked by the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master, he had explosively retreated backwards. After leaving the region of the Law Domain, he immediately teleported south. He rapidly escaped. Escaping? Dongbush Shuang immediately chased after the other party through the void. In terms of void penetration, void walkers were simply unparalleled amongst those at the Unity Realm. They were completely comparable to the standards of many Primal Caves realm giants. Hoo! The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master stopped. With a flash, he landed on a mountain peak and sat cross-legged. He was using all his strength to suppress the silver silk soul-eating poison in his body. He truly did not dare to continue chasing because his injuries were too severe. If he persisted any longer, he might directly faint during the battle. Once he fainted, he would not be able to suppress it. Then, the soul poison would continue to permeate his body, and he would definitely die. He did not wish to die. Protect me. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master ordered the 3 Peak Masters. Yes. The 3 protectors immediately protected him. The Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master did not care about the outside world as he focused on suppressing the soul poison. And across the entire Sky Sword Mountain, the Sky Sword Mountain disciples who were originally at a disadvantage and could only rely on their geographical advantage discovered that the experts from the Blaze Valley were actually retreating on a large scale. Batches of them converged with the Unity Realm experts before rapidly teleporting away. They are escaping? They originally thought that the entire Sky Sword Mountain was about to be exterminated, but now, the enemies were escaping. I hate so much. The Blaze Valley Master who was escaping through the void was filled with fury and unwillingness. He had prepared for a long time just for this. Ever since his teacher was schemed to death by the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master, he had always wanted to take revenge. He had been adventuring outside until he was comparable to the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master. Only then did he dare to return and rebuild the Blaze Valley. He had painstakingly obtained the silver silk soul-eating poison and arranged for the unfamiliar experts he recruited from the outside world to enter the Sky Sword Mountain with the identity of a worshipper. Gradually, he infiltrated the Blaze Valley. Step by step, he finally erupted today. For the sake of taking revenge, for the sake of exterminating the entire Sky Sword Mountain, he had paid too much. Furthermore, for the sake of completing the mission given by the Ancestor Mother Religion, he had to eradicate the Sky Sword Mountain. But now, everything had failed. It was all because of that mysterious expert. Hong! The void trembled. Not good. The expression of the Blaze Valley Master changed. He was forcefully ejected out. A white-robed, white-haired, silver-masked male appeared in front of him. His void penetration is so much stronger than mine? The Blaze Valley Master was startled. If the other party's teleportation was comparable, it would be hard to obstruct him unless he had a clear advantage. But thinking about how the other party specialized in domains and body techniques, it was normal for the other party to have an advantage in the void. What he did not know was that if not for the sake of concealing his strength, Dongbush Shuang could even prevent the Blaze Valley Master from teleporting. Die. Dongbush Shuang utilized the plate ripple diagram to suppress the other party. He was also rapidly engaging in close combat. Blaze Valley Master's speed was slow to begin with. Now that he was restricted, he was struck by another sword. So it turns out that his strength is higher than mine. It was only because of this that I suffered a slight disadvantage in a head-on clash. Blaze Valley Master understood. He did not dare to continue fighting. He tried his best to teleport out of the law domain, but very soon, Dongbua Shuang intercepted him. I'll give you all my treasures. Spare my life. Blaze Valley Master began begging for mercy. The other party was greedy, and he might be able to live. Humph. Dongbua Shuang did not stop. Hong. Yet another sword light broke through the hurried defense of Blaze Valley Master. It rapidly destroyed his body, but Dongbua Ying's control of the sword light was extremely exquisite. It wrapped around the soul of the other party. Seal. Blaze Valley Master's body was completely destroyed. Only his soul was left behind, and it was still sealed. Dongbua Shuang waved his hand and kept all the treasures of Blaze Valley Master. Spare me, spare me. The soul of Blaze Valley Master was still begging for mercy. Whine. Dongbua Shuang coldly looked at him. He utilized his secret technique to investigate. At that moment, a green brand appeared on the soul of Blaze Valley Master. You are. Blaze Valley Master was startled. He finally knew that the person in front of him was an expert from the three great sacred worlds that were enemies with the ancestor mother religion and ancient sacred religion. All his disguises previously were fake. Only now did he reveal his true face. You are really a believer of the ancestor mother religion, Dongbua Shuang coldly said. One had to be careful when investigating because the other party would sense it. The moment he did so, he would immediately report to his superiors through his communication treasure. Hence, Dongbua Shuang sealed the soul of the other party, preventing him from reporting to his superiors. Furthermore, the other party's communication treasure had been taken by him. Hong. Dongbua Shuang flipped his hand, causing an unseen ripple to sweep across the soul of Blaze Valley Master. The other party's soul was directly destroyed. Chapter 867. Dongbua Shuang wasn't in a hurry. He traversed through the void and slowly made his way back. Sky Sword Mountain. Dongbua Shuang appeared from the void and looked at the Sky Sword Mountain in front of him. Currently, the Sky Sword Mountain was in ruins. There were many places where flames were still burning. Although the battle had ended, the Sky Sword Mountain had suffered huge losses. Even their supreme elder had died. Many peak lords, consecrators, and elders had died in battle. Not to mention a large number of disciples. South Dongbua Ying's figure flashed, and he arrived at the peak of a mountain. There was a group of experts gathered here. They were protecting a middle-aged man in black robes who was seated cross-legged in the middle. Senior! A sweet-sounding voice rang. Dongbua Shuang looked over and saw that it was the red-robed girl. Thank you, Senior, for your help. The red-robed girl Easy said gratefully. Previously, when I asked Senior to help, Senior left. I thought that Senior wasn't willing to help. Now that I think about it, it should be Senior who wasn't willing to bring us along. We would only be a burden. There's no need to thank me. Your sect head had agreed to give me treasures. It was only right for me to help. Dongbua Shuang said casually. The rest of the people present were rather grateful. Treasures? No matter how precious they were still external objects. If they were dead, treasures would be useless. To be able to help their Sky Sword Mountain under such a situation, not only did he save their sect head, he also saved the entire sect. Junior is Ziyu. May I know Senior's name? Easy asked. Ziyu was her title and Easy was her real name. Only people who were extremely close to her would address her by her real name. Feishue. Dongbua Shuang replied casually. Senior Feishue, I wonder if Senior Feishue has succeeded in killing the Blaze Valley Master? Easy asked. He is already dead, Dongbua Shuang said directly. The surrounding higher-ups of Sky Sword Mountain were all excited. The Blaze Valley Master was dead? The Valley Master and Deputy Valley Master of the Blaze Valley were already dead, so the remaining ones were nothing to worry about. He believed that those disciples of the Blaze Valley who were fleeing for their lives wouldn't dare to stay in their lair, and would quickly flee to other places. Blaze Valley, that had fought against their Heavenly Sword Mountain for so many years, was probably going to be destroyed just like that. Senior is truly powerful to be able to kill the Blaze Valley Master. I'm afraid your name will soon spread out, Easy said. Her eyes were brightening. This expert in front of her was at the same level as her father, and could easily become an overlord in the Nine-Cloud Great Land. She had to get closer to such an expert. For example, it would be even better if she could become his disciple and acknowledge him as her master. Just as many thoughts were running through Easy's mind, the black-robed middle-aged man who was suppressing the soul poison opened his eyes. He looked at Dongbu Shuang and asked, "Brother Feishue, can you help me expel the soul poison?" Dongbu Shuang was startled. "Celestial Sword Clan, aren't you afraid that I'll make a move on you? With Brother Feishue's strength, if you want to kill me, who among them can stop you?" Celestial Sword Clan said, "This silver silk soul-eating poison is too vicious. Previously, I had to endure the battle and was poisoned deeply. I'm not confident of suppressing it. That's why I need Brother Feishue's help." "I'll try." Dongbu Shuang nodded. The others immediately gave way. Dongbu Shuang walked to the side of Celestial Sword Clan and sat down. He placed his hand on the shoulder of Celestial Sword Clan. At that moment, strands of ripples rapidly permeated into his body. Celestial Sword Clan did not resist at all. This ripple rapidly entered the sea of consciousness of Celestial Sword Clan and enveloped the soul of Celestial Sword Clan. "So serious?" Dongbu Shuang was slightly startled. The soul of Celestial Sword Clan had already been permeated by a large number of silver silk threads. They were densely packed like veins that covered his soul. If not for Dongbu Shuang, Celestial Sword Clan would not have been able to suppress it. In addition, it was too difficult to travel to the Nine-Cloud Great Land, and it was hard for him to find the antidote in a short period of time. He might really lose his life because of this. "Brother Feishue, do your best," Celestial Sword Clan said. "Amen." Dongbu Shuang carefully sent strands of ripples into the soul of the other party. Reaching the realm of Celestial Sword Clan, one's soul was extremely powerful. Even if one were to be sliced into 10 parts, the other 9 would be destroyed, and it would only be a small injury. Thus, the ripples that permeated into the soul of Celestial Sword Clan did not deal much damage. It was just that this silver silk soul-eating poison had completely permeated his soul, and it was extremely difficult to expel it. Chi. The control of Dongbu Shuiying's plate ripple diagram was extremely exquisite. He began restraining the silver silk threads. At the same time, when he was expelling the soul poison, Dongbu Shuiying was stealthily executing his secret technique. Ying. Because a large number of ripples had already permeated into the soul of Celestial Sword Clan, even though the secret technique had tunneled in, Celestial Sword Clan did not suspect anything. His soul did not have any reaction either. He is not a believer of the two great religions. Dongbu Shuang thought, but that's right. According to the intelligence, there should be very few local experts who have become believers of the two great religions. It is already fortunate that I could discover that the Blaze Valley Master and Vice Valley Master are believers. If the Sky Sword Mountain Sect Master is also a believer, that would be too much of a coincidence. Searching for believers was very troublesome. Firstly, those at the level of Blaze Valley Master and Celestial Sword Clan were at the 4th level Star Pagoda strength. It was impossible for Shuiying to control and investigate them stealthily. He had to injure the other party in a direct battle and completely seal the other party's strength. Only then could he execute his secret technique. But this way, for an expert to suddenly appear in the Nine-Cloud Great Land and act against the overlords of various regions, this itself would easily arouse suspicion. The moment he was targeted by the two great religions, he could no longer stay in the Nine-Cloud Great Land for long. Secondly, if such an important believer died, the religion would immediately know about it. They would also investigate what exactly happened. Like this time, it was because the Blaze Valley took the initiative to attack the Sky Sword Mountain. The Sky Sword Mountain had an expert helping them, and it was normal for them to eliminate the Blaze Valley Master. If an unknown expert were to ambush the Blaze Valley and kill the Blaze Valley Master, it was fine if he killed one. But if there was a day when he killed another important believer, the religion would most likely become suspicious. Because they had to pay a huge price for a 4th-level Star Pagoda expert to become a believer. If the believer at the bottom level died, then so be it. But such important believers were treated with great importance. Their status was even higher than that of ordinary sacred emissaries. I have to be careful in the battle between the 2 great religions and the 3 great sacred worlds. Dongbu Shuang thought, I must not be too brazen. Instead, I have to go along with the general trend. Like this time, he had conveniently eliminated the Blaze Valley Master. The soul poison of the Celestial Sword clan was very troublesome, but Dongbu Shuang cultivated the strongest domain-type absolute art of the Holy Ground Great Void Heaven Temple. If he were to use his full strength, the time taken to brew a cup of tea would suffice. But he had patiently spent half a month before helping the Celestial Sword clan completely expel the soul poison. Hong Long! From the cultivation room, Dongbu Shuang and the Celestial Sword clan walked out. There was already a group of higher-ups from the Sky Sword sect waiting outside. That Lady Easy was there too. Ha ha! With Brother Fei Xue's help, I have completely expelled the soul poison. Ha! The Celestial Sword clan laughed out loud. Congratulations, sect head! Congratulations, sect head! The higher-ups of the Sky Sword sect were all extremely excited. Because the Celestial Sword clan was the pillar of the entire sect. Back then, he was the one who established the sect. Furthermore, the Grand Elder had died in battle. If the sect head were to die because of the soul poison, without a single peak Unity Realm expert, the Sky Sword sect would definitely split apart. Congratulations, Father. Thank you, Senior Fei Xue. Lady Easy said. Haha, all of you can leave now. I still have some matters to discuss with Brother Fei Xue. Easy, prepare some food. The Celestial Sword clan instructed. For the sect head's daughter to personally prepare food, one could see how much importance the Celestial Sword clan placed on Dongbu Shuang. Very soon, everyone else in the courtyard left. Dongbu Shuang and the Celestial Sword clan sat facing each other. Brother Fei Xue, it's hard for me to repay you for saving my life. The Celestial Sword clan sighed. This time, they thought that they were finished. Even the sect was going to be annihilated. But now, everything had reversed. I might be able to help Brother Fei Xue with regards to the treasure cove of Emperor Julian, the Celestial Sword clan said. Emperor Julian's treasure cove? Dongbu Shuang was shocked. You didn't check the treasures left behind by the Blaze Valley Master? The Celestial Sword clan was puzzled as well. After I killed him, I have been helping you to expel the soul poison. I didn't have the time to check it, Dongbu Shuang said. Saying that, he immediately took out a storage wristband and refined it. Amidst the many items within the storage wristband, Dongbu Shuang soon found what he was looking for. It was a unique golden hairpin. Dongbu Shuang flipped his hand, causing a golden hairpin to appear. The treasure cove of Emperor Julian, Dongbu Shuang thought. His eyes brightened. Emperor Julian. He was an extremely famous cosmos god during the primitive ancient sacred world era. His strength was ranked in the front even amongst final realm existences. But in the final battle that caused the entire primitive ancient sacred world to shatter, Emperor Julian was heavily injured and died not long after. Clearly, his injuries were too severe. Strictly speaking, he died in the hands of Sacred Master. That time when the primitive ancient sacred world shattered, Emperor Julian's injuries were too severe. He knew that he would definitely die. Hence, before he died, he came to this 9-cloud great land that was flying deep into the primal chaos void and laid down 16 treasure coves on this great land. Furthermore, he threw down 30 golden hairpins on the 9-cloud great land and publicly spread the news. As long as one gathered 5 golden hairpins, the array would be activated and one would be teleported to one of the treasure coves. But only void gods could enter, and at most 5 of them could enter. Every time after the teleportation, the golden hairpins would be scattered across the 9-cloud great land. Hence, over the long years, because there were a total of 30 golden hairpins and 5 golden hairpins, there were many experts who entered. There were even primal chaos experts who entered before. But it was hard to obtain any of the 16 treasure coves. Usually, one could only get a portion of it. But over the long years, more than half of the 16 treasure coves would have been emptied. But as long as the golden hairpins remained, it represented that there were still treasures. This was ultimately a final realm existence who was ranked in the front during the primitive ancient sacred world era. In terms of strength, he was much stronger than Void primogenitor and forefather Tian Yu. You actually know that the Blaze Valley Master has a golden hairpin too? Dongwu Shuang looked at the Celestial Sword clan in front of him with shock. That year, the previous Blaze Valley Master and I discovered 2 golden hairpins at the same time. The Celestial Sword clan said. We agreed to have one each. Just as we split the golden hairpins, he ambushed me. Even though I did not have the intention to do so, I was still on guard in the dark. That battle ended with his death. But that battle was extremely bitter. During the process of him teleporting away, he hid the golden hairpins. Even though I chased after him and killed him, I could not find the golden hairpins at all. I guessed that he must have told his disciple where he hid the hairpins. After the previous Blaze Valley Master died, the Blaze Valley and my Sky Sword Mountain became mortal enemies. There are only 2 of them. We need 5 golden hairpins before we can activate the teleportation array, Dongwu Shuang said. He naturally desired for the treasures. What was the reason for him to come to the 9-Cloud Great Land? It was because of the treasures. For the sake of exchanging for the Scarlet Cloud pomegranate cores to help Jingqiu and Yuer, it should be sufficient for him to obtain a small portion of the treasures left behind by Cosmos gods. Chapter 868. The Celestial Sword clan was just about to say that when Miss Ez brought the delicacies and wine over. She was even personally pouring wine for Dongwu Shuang. Senior Feishua, this is the Sword Rain fruit wine that I personally brewed. I usually only let my father drink it. Saying that, she passed the cup to Dongwu Shuang. Dongwu Shuang chuckled as he took a sip. The moment he drank it, he knew that the price of this fruit wine would not be too high. He had tasted quite a few top-notch wines in the Great Void Heaven Temple. But this fruit wine was relatively rich. It made one feel intoxicated, and one could vaguely feel an illusory realm descending upon them. Interesting. Dongwu Shuang praised. This daughter of mine is quite talented in brewing wine. It's just that her talent in cultivation is slightly weak. She has only barely stepped into the Void God realm after much difficulty, the Celestial Sword clan said. Dongwu Shuang softly shook his head after hearing that. It's already good enough. As long as she can become a true god, she will have an eternal lifespan. His wife and son were currently stuck at the stage 4 world deity realm. They were not even true gods. This was also the biggest knot in his heart. That's right. It's enough for her to have an eternal lifespan. The Celestial Sword clan sighed. He had cultivated for a long time, and only his daughter was still alive. Ez, you can withdraw first, the Celestial Sword clan ordered. Yes, father. Miss Ez obediently left. Only the 2 of them were left in the courtyard. Only then did the Celestial Sword clan say, in order to enter the treasure cove of Emperor Jueyun, you need 5 golden hairpins. You and I only have 2 golden hairpins. I have a good friend who knows of cultivators who can gather 3 golden hairpins. Naturally, he did not tell me which cultivators those 3 golden hairpins are. But as long as I gather 2, I can work together with him. Work together? Dongwu Shuang frowned. If we meet, will we be plotted against? Who knows if there might be primal chaos realm giants searching for the golden hairpins in the dark. Don't worry. The Celestial Sword clan chuckled. If we want to meet, we'll definitely meet at the city constructed by Junifazu. The closest city is the Pure Resistance City. In the Pure Resistance City, even primal chaos existences would not dare to act recklessly. Even the primal chaos giants from the 3 great sacred worlds and the 2 great religions would not dare to offend Junyi Fazu. Dongbu Shuang nodded his head. 9 Cloud Continent. The real master was Junyi Fazu after all. Even though he did not wish to participate in the battle between the 2 superpowers, he was not willing to see this 9 Cloud great land which he lived in seclusion being destroyed by the 2 superpowers. Thus, he set down many rules. For example, forbidding the construction of any spatial arrays. This made it hard for the 9 Cloud Great Land to communicate with each other. Or for instance, he constructed a total of 12 cities scattered across the 9 Cloud Great Land. Every city had an array that he personally constructed and an incarnation that he left behind to defend them. Under normal circumstances, the incarnation of a cosmos god could not kill the true body of a primal chaos realm giant. But it was different with the help of arrays within his territory. These 12 cities all had arrays personally refined by the ancestor of technique, and the incarnation of Junyi Fazu was unparalleled within them. Furthermore, he even strictly forbade primal chaos existences from entering his cities. The reason why he constructed the cities was to leave behind a pure land, allowing powerful cultivators who had no intention of fighting to cultivate here peacefully. "If you are willing, I'll inform that good friend of mine," the Celestial Sword Clan said. "All right. It's the treasure cove of Emperor Jueyun. Naturally, I'll go if I can," Dongbu Shuang said. "Haha, this is something that every cultivator in our 9 Cloud Great Land desires." The Celestial Sword Clan chuckled as he contacted the other party. After a moment, he said, "That side has agreed to meet us at the Pure Resistance City. Some of them are staying at the Pure Resistance City, and some are closer. It would take them at least 50 million years to reach. My side is slightly slower, taking 80 million years. Brother Feishue, for the sake of safety, you and I should travel separately. That way, it will be safer for both of us." "All right." Dongbu Shuang nodded. He understood the other party's cautiousness. As long as they traveled separately, they would know which route they should take. The enemy could not even ambush them. "The journey is long. I'll set off tomorrow," Dongbu Shuang said. "I'll take 80 million years to travel, so you don't have to rush," the Celestial Sword Clan added. He still wanted his daughter to get closer to this expert. It would be even better if she could become the disciple of the other party. After all, he heard from his daughter that the other party had just broken through. Who knows, he might even improve further and become unparalleled in the Unity realm. A 5th-level Star Pagoda strength was absolutely high even in the holy grounds of the 3 great sacred worlds. In the 9 Cloud Great Land, as long as the primal chaos giants did not appear, they could simply walk unhindered. Even if the other party did not improve, he would still be comparable to his Celestial Sword Clan. Furthermore, the other party had saved his life. "I've just come out of closed-door cultivation not long ago. I wish to take this opportunity to stroll around the world," Dongbu Shuang said. "That's fine too. Then I won't keep Brother Feishue any longer." The Celestial Sword Clan chuckled. "By then, we will meet at the Pure Resistance City and head to the treasure cove of Emperor Jueyun together." On the next day, Dongbu Shuang bade farewell and left. On the Sky Sword Mountain, Lady Z was still slightly unwilling. She was filled with gratitude and admiration towards Dongbu Shuang. She wanted to take him as her teacher, but it's a pity that Dongbu Shuang left too decisively. In the following days, Dongbu Shuang walked around the great land of the 9 Cloud Great Land. He would enjoy the scenery left behind by the fragment of the primitive ancient sacred world. Occasionally, he would sit cross-legged on the desolate plains to cultivate. When he met with some injustice, some devils would directly devour an entire village. Dongbu Shuang would directly act whenever he met with them. He would instinctively examine their souls before killing them. Occasionally, he would give pointers to some young fellows. In the blink of an eye, 50 million years passed. At the peak of the mountain range, within a wooden house, the white-robed Dongbu Shuang walked out. He frowned. "I have clearly grasped all the profound mysteries of the second style of the Dark World, yet I can't unleash it. Why is that so?" After cultivating for 18 billion years in the Palace Hall of Time in the Great Void Heaven Temple, the less than 13 apocalyptic swords and the plate ripple diagram had been cultivated to the 5th level Star Pagoda combat strength. Dongwu Shuang had even simplified the 5th apocalyptic sword into the new fish dragon kill. As for the Tao of Mirage, which he had the highest talent in, Dongwu Shuang had long comprehended all the profound mysteries of the second style of Dark World, the Sky Punishment Edge. Yet he could not unleash it. He had even modified the first style, the Dark Bubble, several times, making it more suitable for himself. Now that he came to the 9-cloud Great Land, he had been roaming around for 50 million years. Yet he did not slack off in his cultivation. What's going on? I have clearly comprehended it, and this Sky Punishment Edge technique doesn't baffle me at all. Yet I just can't unleash it. Dongwu Shuang felt awkward. I have already simplified the 5th apocalyptic sword and comprehended quite a bit of the 6th apocalyptic sword. According to this speed, I might not be able to unleash the Sky Punishment Edge even after comprehending the 6th apocalyptic sword. Just like the absolute arts of the Great Void Heaven Temple, learning it meant learning it. But for the second style of the Dark World, he could not unleash it even though he had comprehended it. That Dark World master did not explain it in the absolute art. Unless I have misunderstood it? Impossible. With my attainments in the Tao of Mirage, it is impossible for me to make such a low-grade mistake. Dongwu Shuang thought, there must be a problem somewhere. It is time to hurry. Let's go to the Pure Resistance City. Dongwu Shuang extended his senses. There were no cultivators in the surrounding 150 million kilometers. Hua! He waved his hand. A distorted time-space vortex that spanned 300 meters appeared in midair. Dongwu Shuang took a step and entered it. He entered the passage of the time-space vortex and began his journey. The 9-cloud Great Land was ultimately too vast. When the Celestial Sword Clan chose to establish their sect, the Sky Sword Mountain, they would naturally try their best to get closer to one of the cities constructed by Junifazu. The Sky Sword Mountain was considered relatively close to the Pure Resistance City. The Celestial Sword Clan would need 80 million years to reach there. In the 9-cloud Great Land, traveling time was considered short. But it was different for Dongwu Shuang to travel through the time-space vortex. Just 300 years later, Dongwu Shuang stealthily appeared in a desolate and uninhabited area. He then traveled through the void for the time taken to brew a cup of tea before he saw a majestic ancient city in the distance. There were colorful lights revolving above the city. That was the light of an array. South! Dongwu Shuang turned into a stream of light as he flew towards the city gates. He descended by the city gates and took a few steps before leaving the region of the city. There was also an array light revolving around the city gates. Being a Unity Realm expert, he was not rejected by this city created by a cosmos god. Today was the first day. Star. Chapter 869. The Pure Resistance City was a city constructed by the cosmos god Junifazu. The number and quality of cultivators gathered in this city was much higher than the Primal Chaos City under the Great Void Heaven Temple. Because the 7-star oceanic sacred world was relatively safer, the two great religions would at most send incarnations of Primal Chaos experts to sneak into the 7-star oceanic sacred world. Furthermore, those with sufficiently high statuses could directly report upwards. Like Forefather Tian Yu, Devil Mountain Primogenitor and other final realm existences, they could directly send their incarnations down. Hence, some experts who reached the 5th level Star Pagoda could occupy a territory in the 3 great sacred worlds and were not afraid of the 2 great religions. But the 9-cloud Great Land was different. The 2 great religions had Primal Chaos experts stationed here for a long period, and it was slightly less safe. Some who wanted to focus on cultivation were more willing to stay in the city constructed by Junifazu and receive the protection of Ancestor Technique. Jia! Pushing open the courtyard door, the white-robed Dongwu Shuang walked out. The slowest Celestial Sword Clan has finally arrived. He had just received the news that the Celestial Sword Clan had sent him a message, asking him to gather at the assembly point. They were about to set off for the treasure cove of Emperor Julian. In the Celestial Water City, there isn't a single 5th level Star Pagoda expert, and there are only 3 4th level experts. Shuang looked at this city filled with grand aura and experts. He felt slightly rueful. After 30 million years, he was very familiar with the Pure Resistance City, and in the Pure Resistance City, there is 1 expert at the 5th level Star Pagoda strength, 12 experts at the 4th level strength, and many experts at the 3rd level strength, in terms of experts. There were naturally more in the Sacred Worlds. But the Sacred Worlds were scattered, and there were a bunch of primal chaos giants in the Sacred Worlds. Like the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, other than the Great Void Heaven Temple, Primogenitor Island and Jade Light's Sacred World, because the Sacred World was too vast, there were many primal chaos superpowers in many desolate places, and more than half of the primal chaos giants were not willing to join a sacred ground. They would rather form their own faction, and nobody could control them. Like the Ancestor Desert Palace in the Eastern Unicorn's Sacred World, they did not join a cosmos god. Dongbua Shuang traveled through the void within the city, and soon, he arrived outside a courtyard. There was already a true deity puppet waiting at the entrance of the courtyard. The puppet stretched out a hand to stop them. "Halt! 5, Dongbua Shuang said. This was the secret signal given by the Celestial Sword Clan. "Please!" The puppet creature no longer obstructed them. Dongbua Shuang walked in. The courtyard was not very big. After passing through the front yard, they soon saw 3 figures gathered in a large hall. However, Dongbua Shuang did not recognize any of them. "Brother Feishue." The Celestial Sword Clan sent a voice transmission. "I'm already here. The one on the left wearing the golden robe is me. Why haven't you changed your appearance?" Dongbua Shuang was still dressed in a white robe and had white hair, and was wearing a silver mask. "In this meeting, everyone else will change their auras and appearances to try their best not to expose their true identities. Otherwise, if the news of us obtaining the treasures were to spread, it would attract a lot of trouble," the Celestial Sword Clan transmitted. "After this, if I successfully obtain the treasures, I will stay in the Pure Resistance City. At most, I will send my incarnation back to the Sky Sword Mountain. You should be more cautious and not expose your identity. Brother Sky Sword, please don't blame me. My current appearance is already me changing my aura and appearance. After all, when I interfered in the matter between you and the Blaze Valley Master, I did not have full confidence. I do not wish to fail and offend the Blaze Valley Master," Dongbua Shuang transmitted. At this moment, the golden-robed Celestial Sword Clan was a little stunned. Good fellow, this Feishue wasn't his true appearance. "The 4th is here." In the hall, 3 were seated. Other than the golden-robed Celestial Sword Clan, there was another black-robed figure that was shrouded in a faint black fog. It was hard to tell if it was a man or a woman. The 3rd was a burly man with exceptionally thick arms. His thighs were considered normal, but his arms were thicker than his thighs. He was emitting a ruthless aura. "Sit," the burly man said. "We are waiting for the last person." "Amen." Dongbua Shuang didn't continue chatting. He chose a seat and sat down. The 4 figures in the hall were silent, because everyone was clear that they were only gathered to use each other's golden hairpins. Furthermore, after entering the treasures, they would become competitors. Killing each other for the treasures was something that happened frequently in the legends. Hence, everyone maintained their vigilance and didn't even want to expose their identities. In just a short moment, the last figure appeared. It was a lady in loose gray robes. This lady displayed an ordinary appearance. However, her eyes contained a formless pressure. "Amen?" Dongbua Shuang looked through her eyes and his heart couldn't help but tremble. 3rd level of spirit? The spirit could be divided into 3 great levels. Even though his hometown cosmos had produced some void gods, only the Sword Master and Ancestor Devil had reached the 3rd level of spirit. Dongbua Shuang might have a high comprehension ability, but after coming to the Holy Ground, the Great Void Heaven Temple, he had experienced too little. Most of the time, he was in closed-door cultivation, and did not have any huge breakthroughs in his spirit. Like Ancestor Devil and the Sword Master, the two were enemies in the past. Ancestor Devil was stronger in the early stages, and later on, the Sword Master's strength became more profound, to the point that he had cast Ancestor Devil off completely. Ancestor Devil treated the Sword Master as his enemy, and eventually broke through in his heart realm. The two of them were still competitors. Dongbush Shuang had much less experience compared to the two of them. This girl has reached the 3rd level of spirit, yet she isn't restraining herself? Is it because she is absolutely confident? Dongbush Shuang was inwardly startled. If the other party was deliberately restraining herself, he would not be able to discover how frightening her willpower was. All right, everyone is here. The muscular man stood up. He merely shot a glance at the loose gray-robed woman who arrived last, and did not pay much attention to her. This was because one's spirit realm was high. It did not mean that one's strength was high. Some cultivation systems placed more emphasis on the spirit realm, such as witchcraft and laws and profound mysteries. Some, however, did not place much emphasis on it, such as the Devour class system, bloodline system, etc. None of you have brought any living beings with you in your grotto heavens, right? The muscular man said in a low voice. His voice was filled with pressure. The golden hairpin teleportation array can only send 5 living beings. If our grotto heavens bring other living beings with us, the teleportation will fail. No. Of course not. We all know that. All of them responded. The golden-robed celestial sword clan said, Why don't you take out your golden hairpins? And men. None of them hesitated. With a flip of their hands, a golden hairpin appeared in each of the 5's hands. This allowed everyone to relax. Although they could only communicate with each other through a single line, they were still worried that something might go wrong if they did not see it with their own eyes. Activate. The 5 immediately controlled their void divine power to activate the golden hairpins in their hands. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. After the 5 golden hairpins were activated, faintly discernible and mysterious golden veins appeared on the surface of the golden hairpins. Dongbush Shuang only felt that the golden hairpins in his hands were no longer under his control. A terrifying spatial might cause the golden hairpins to forcefully break free from his control. The 5 golden hairpins all flew up into the air. When they flew into the air of the hall, their golden veins immediately formed a terrifying spatial array. At this moment, the space was like flowing water. Dongbush Shuang felt extremely comfortable as he passed through the flowing water space. When the scenery in front of him became clear, he had already arrived at another place. This place was extremely far away from Chenyu City. Dongbush Shuang and the other 4 were standing on a rocky beach. A few li behind them was a vast expanse of whiteness. Even the space was faintly distorted. In front of them, there was a towering golden pagoda. Treasure Cove God Pagoda. The muscular man with thick arms couldn't help but exclaim excitedly. It's the Treasure Cove God Pagoda. We are finally here, the figure shrouded in black fog said. His voice was slightly sharp. Dongbush Ying's eyes were also emitting light as he looked at that towering God Pagoda that was close to 3,000 meters tall. Treasure Cove God Pagoda. In the past, before the death of the Cosmos God Emperor Julian, he had left behind 16 treasure coves. They were 16 Treasure Cove God Pagoda. The Treasure Cove God Pagoda was hidden in different unique spatial zones in different regions of the 9-Cloud Great Land. With the strength of Emperor Julian, he could easily set up a place that other cosmos gods could not find. It was pointless even if the entire 9-Cloud Great Land was destroyed because these 16 Treasure Cove God Pagoda were not located in the ordinary world of the 9-Cloud Great Land. This was a vast expanse of whiteness spanning several dozen kilometers. At the center of this space was the God Pagoda. Information rapidly appeared in the mind of Dongbush Shuang. To leave? There were 2 methods. One was to fly towards the end of the vast expanse of whiteness. By touching that white distorted space, one would be teleported back to the ordinary world of the 9-Cloud Great Land. The other method was to stay in this space for 3 days. Once the 3 days were up, even if one was unwilling to leave, he would be teleported out. I have to get sufficient treasures within 3 days. Dongbua Shuang looked at the treasure cove god pagoda in front of him. His eyes turned sharp. As long as he could earn a huge profit this time, Jingqiu and Yu would have sufficient materials to aid their cultivation. This time, nobody could stop him. Dongbua Shuang was filled with desire. The other 4 were similarly filled with desire. This was the treasure cove of a cosmos god. So. As the loose gray-robed girl flew out, the others turned into streams of light and flew towards the open door of the treasure cove god pagoda at the center. Even though he had tried many times, he still wanted to make a comeback. Star. Chapter 870. The pagoda door of the treasure cove god pagoda was simple and unadorned. At this moment, it was fully opened. The door was about 300 meters tall. Dongbua Shuang and the other 4 entered the treasure cove god pagoda one after another. We have entered the final realm existence, Emperor Jiuyun's treasure cove. Dongbua Shuang stood on the black ground. Above him was a piece of darkness. Amidst the darkness, there were many twinkling stars. Dongbua Shuang was clear that those twinkling stars were the treasures of the treasure cove god pagoda. There were treasures hidden within, though this was merely the treasures on the first level. The treasure cove god pagoda was split into 3 levels. Usually, there would only be 2 to 3 treasures on the 3rd level. But they were all important to Emperor Jiuyun, and their value was extremely high. Any one of them was sufficient to make primal chaos giants go crazy with greed. Hua! Suddenly, many void stairs began forming within the pagoda. These void stairs extended upwards, and soon reached the highest point, touching the dark sky. Furthermore, at the end of the void stairs, there was an ancient stone door. There were a total of 5 void stairs that corresponded to 5 sets of stone doors. Go! South! Dongbua Shuang, the Celestial Sword Clan, the muscular male, the black-fogged figure, and the loose gray-robed girl were all walking along the void stairs. This law suppression is truly formidable. Dongbua Shuang walked on the void stairs. He attempted to float his body, yet he was suppressed by the unseen law, forcing him to walk step by step. From the outside, the treasure cove god pagoda was only about 3,000 meters tall. But the space within was huge. Just the first level of the void stairs was already 50 kilometers long. Wang! Dongbua Shuang flew up the stairs at an extremely fast speed. He had turned into an afterimage, and in the blink of an eye, he had traveled 20 to 15 kilometers. Pun! He clashed against the unseen void barrier. Only at this moment did the void barrier appear. There are a total of 3 barriers on the void stairs. Even if you break through the 3 barriers, you still have to destroy the stone door before you can enter the 2nd level. Don't be anxious. The black-fogged figure on another flight of stairs let out a sharp voice. Dongbua Shuang could not be bothered with him. The information he had obtained from the Great Void Heaven Temple was very detailed. Of course, he knew that the violent collision just now was just to test the toughness of the barrier. He wanted to see if he could break through it directly. That way, he would be able to break through all the other barriers. Break! A divine sword appeared in Dongbua Shuang's hand, and sword light flashed. Pu, 3 consecutive strikes landed on the void barrier. While the void barrier shattered. At this time, the other 4 also attacked the void barrier one after another. Soon, the first layer of the barrier was broken. Whoosh! In the dark sky of the first level of the treasure god pagoda, one of the resplendent stars suddenly fell down. Dongbua Shuang's eyes lit up. His arm expanded abruptly as he reached out to grab the star. However, his arm only managed to extend for 10 li before it was stopped by an invisible barrier. That's mine! The muscular man's thick arm also swelled in size. In just a few kilometers he had grabbed the star. The moment he touched it, the surface of the star that was emitting light shattered, revealing a shard of a blade floating inside. It was a silvery white blade, and just looking at it would cause one's heart to tremble. Unfortunately, it was only a shard. It should be a fragment of a peak-grade void god weapon, Dongbu Shuang immediately deduced. Its value should be around 30 to 50 origin world rocks. Dongbu Shuang and the other four continued to advance. Occasionally, a star would descend from the dark sky. As long as one touched it, the star would dissipate, revealing the treasures within. The value of the treasures varied. The lower ones were worth a few origin world rocks, while the higher ones were worth close to 100 origin world rocks. Pooh! Pooh! Dongbu Shuang didn't care too much about these treasures, because these were merely the treasures of the first level. Usually, only those weaker cultivators would come here by chance, and stay for a long period of time. Hua! 3 consecutive sword lights slammed onto the void barrier, and the third and final layer of the void barrier collapsed completely. Dongbu Shuang turned into a shadow as he charged towards the end of the staircase. The end of the staircase was connected to the sky, and there was an ancient stone door there. Boom! Dongbu Shuang was the first among the 5 to reach the stone door. The sharp sword in his hand instantly turned into a sword light as it slashed towards the stone door in front of him. Hong long long, the sword light slashed down furiously, causing the stone door to tremble violently. Large amounts of stone fragments flew up, and cracks started to appear on the door. Just as Dongbu Shuang slashed down on the stone door, the brightest star in the dark sky suddenly fell down, turning into a dazzling light as it flew towards Dongbu Shuang. At this moment, although Dongbu Shuang was slashing at the stone door furiously, his attention was focused on the star that was flying towards him. Moreover, the other 4 cultivators in the Treasure God Pagoda were also staring at the star. Since they had obtained the golden hairpin, they would naturally try their best to gather information about Emperor Jueyun's treasures. They also knew that in the first level of the Treasure God Pagoda, the first cultivator to attack the stone door would immediately cause a star to fall. The treasure contained within this star would be the most valuable of all the stars in the first level. How arrogant! This treasure is too valuable. Isn't he afraid that he won't be able to bring it out alive? The muscular man and the rest watched silently from afar. They were very clear that the other cultivators in the treasure vault were all competitors. Hence, they would rather keep a low profile and not be the first to snatch the most valuable treasures in the first level. Because even the most valuable treasures in the first level were considered high-quality treasures in the second level. If there were any terrifying experts hidden within this group of 5, they might even make a move. This time, they had a total of 3 days in the Treasure God Pagoda. They were very patient. Those who were too flamboyant at the start would not be able to live long. Who? The white-robed Dongbu Shuang stared at the incoming star under the silver mask as he stretched out his left hand. The moment the star came into contact with Dongbu Shuang's finger, the star disappeared like a bubble, revealing the item within. It was a piece of withered wood with the thickness of an arm. There were even golden whiskers on the withered wood. The withered wood exuded an aura. Wherever it was, it seemed to contain boundless vitality. Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood. Dongbu Shuiying's eyes lit up, and his heartbeat quickened. The other 4 cultivators also held their breaths as they stared at the withered wood with their tongues tied. Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood. During the era of the primitive ancient sacred world, it might be worth close to 1,000 origin world rocks. It required the operating law of the primitive ancient sacred world to send down sky thunder to strike the Golden Whisker God tree. Most Golden Whisker God trees would be struck to death and turned into ashes. Only a few would remain with a withered wood that was filled with boundless vitality. But the primitive ancient sacred world had shattered, and no new Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood could be born. Cosmos gods had long wanted the Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood. This Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood could be used to refine weapons, to create worlds, or to refine pills. After the destruction of the primitive ancient sacred world for countless years, this piece of Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood was worth 3,000 origin world stones. That time, Emperor Jueyun felt that it was worth close to 1,000 origin world rocks, and treating it as one of the 2 or 3 most important treasures on the first level was normal. But now, its value was much higher than when Emperor Jiuyun was still alive. Its value is so high! Dongbu Shui Ying's heartbeat accelerated. A treasure worth 3,000 origin world rocks would be considered a final treasure even if it was placed on the second level of the Treasure Cove God Pagoda. It was enough to make primal Chaos Realm giants covet it. This piece of withered wood was much more valuable than all the treasures he had on him. The treasures of a cosmos god were indeed different. Dongbu Shuang extended his hand and grabbed. This golden whisker sky thunder wood was tightly held in his hand. Following that, he kept it into his storage treasure with a thought. Chapter 871. Even primal Chaos Realm giants were envious. Dongbu Shuang, who was an inner hall elder of the Great Void Heaven Temple, felt his heart palpitating, much less the other 4 cultivators. It's worth 3,000 origin world rocks! It's worth 3,000 origin world rocks! The eyes of the Celestial Sword clan were about to turn red. Even though Dongbu Shuang had saved his life, he still had an intense impulse to kill the other party and snatch his treasures. Because the value was sufficient to drive him slightly mad. But firstly, he had a bottom line and was not willing to act against his benefactor. Hence, he had to suppress his impulse no matter how strong it was. Secondly, he was not confident even if he acted. He knew his limits. 3,000 origin world rocks. The Celestial Sword clan and the other 3 cultivators felt their hearts trembling. What did this mean? A protective treasure like the Black Gourd was only worth 500 origin world rocks. 3,000 origin world rocks could be used to purchase a better protective treasure than the Black Gourd. Be it its power or survivability, it would greatly increase. If the Celestial Sword clan and the others bought a treasure stronger than the Black Gourd, they would be unparalleled beneath the primal Chaos Realm. Even if they were extravagant enough to buy a puppet life form, 3,000 origin world rocks would buy a puppet life form with the strength of a 5th-level Star Pagoda expert. Furthermore, these puppet lifeforms had a huge advantage over cultivators. For instance, they had an almost unbreakable body, absolute loyalty, and could work without complaint. Furthermore, they could choose different types of puppet lifeforms. Some specialized in escaping, and some specialized in offense. The muscular male, the black-fogged figure, and the gray-robed girl were staring at Dongbu Shuang from afar like they were looking at their prey. Humph. He is really lucky to get such a precious treasure at the first level of the Treasure Cove. The eyes of the muscular male dilated. A faint cold light flashed in his eyes. I have thought wrongly. I thought that the first level isn't worth mentioning, and that the main point is the second level. Who would have thought that I would miss out on such a treasure? If I want to get it, I have to snatch it from his hands. The gray-robed girl was not in a rush to act. Instead, that black-fogged figure abruptly flew down the void stairs. Because the void barrier had been broken, that black-fogged figure had practically reached the ground in the blink of an eye. Following that, he rapidly ascended the void stairs where Dongbu Shuang was at. He's going to make a move! The entire atmosphere at the first level of the Treasure Cove had solidified. The Celestial Sword clan, the muscular male, and the gray-robed girl were watching this scene silently. They did not intervene. This was within their expectations. The treasures within the Treasure Cove God Pagoda were not easily obtained. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to enter the 3rd level. Only primal chaos giants could enter. Merely in the first 2 layers of the treasury, being able to obtain a treasure worth 3,000 origin world stones was already considered very lucky. Even if he left immediately after obtaining the Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood, this trip to Emperor Jiuyun's treasure would be worth it. Dongbu Shuang kept the Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood. He could feel the gazes of the other cultivators on him. Only the Celestial Sword clan's gazes were not hostile, but they were filled with envy and jealousy. The hostility of the other 3 was very strong. This time, I came to the Treasure Cove God Pagoda in hopes of obtaining more than 10,000 origin world stones so that I can purchase 2 sets of Scarlet Cloud pomegranate cores. Dongbu Shuang thought. Previously, I wasn't confident. But now that I've obtained the precious golden whisker sky thunderwood, if I were to enter the second level, with my strength and luck, I might be able to gather more than 10,000 origin world stones. You want to snatch the treasure? Dongbua Shuang looked at the bottom of this void stairway. That black fogged figure was currently rushing over. Hand over the golden whisker sky thunderwood, and I'll spare your life. The black fogged figure rushed over. His sharp voice reverberated across the entire first level. His voice was so ear-piercing that it caused the space to tremble. This is my void stairway. You are walking on the wrong path, Dongbua Shuang said. If you retreat now, you can still live. If you were to act foolishly, only death awaits you. The black fogged figure suddenly stopped. His body turned illusory. Many other bodies were formed from his body. Dongbua Shuang only felt that the black fogged figure in front of him had turned into 19 figures. All of their auras were exactly the same, and they seemed to be his true body. Undying City Master? The Celestial Sword Clan, the muscular male, and the gray-robed girl were greatly startled when they saw this. It's him? Undying City Master? Dongbua Shuang was able to guess the other party's origins. In the entire Nine-Cloud Great Land, there were very few Unity Realm experts who reached the 5th level Star Pagoda strength. And Undying City Master was one of them. He was an ancient cultivator, and his talent was called Myriad Beings. He could replicate his true body. This Undying City Master could replicate 18 true bodies at a time. Adding up the original one, he had a total of 19 bodies. All 19 bodies were exactly the same as his true body. Even his soul had been replicated. One had to know that most would not have avatars after becoming a void god. Even amongst the high and mighty final realm existences, Sacred Master and Ancestor Mother did not have avatars. Only Myriad Realm Tavern Master had many avatars. But the avatars of Myriad Realm Tavern Master were fundamentally different from this Unity Realm Undying City Master. Myriad Realm Tavern Master had more avatars, and every avatar was slightly weaker. As for Undying City Master, he relied entirely on his ancient cultivation talent to replicate his true body. If he became a cosmos god in the future, he could similarly replicate his true body. One could see how terrifying he was. With just one body, he only had the strength of the 4th level Star Pagoda strength. But with 19 of them working together, their minds were connected, and they immediately rose to the 5th level Star Pagoda strength. He actually came. The muscular male frowned. This is going to be troublesome. It is actually Undying City Master. I think it is more important for us to survive. Let's give up. The Celestial Sword Clan shouted. He was still quite concerned about Dongbua Shuang. He immediately shouted out. With Undying City Master around, there is no hope for that golden whisker sky thunderwood. The gray-robed girl shook her head silently. Undying City Master was an extremely famous expert in the Nine-Cloud Great Land. His deterrence was formidable. Even though he could only maintain 19 bodies for a short period of time, that was enough for 1 to 2 days. Just for battles, it was sufficient. It was sufficient just for combat. Furthermore, as long as one of the 19 bodies survived, he would be able to give birth to more. That was why he called himself Undying. Originally, I wasn't in a rush to reveal my identity. But who would have thought that there would be such a treasure on the 1st level? I gave you a chance previously, yet you didn't want it. Now, it is useless even if you kowtow and beg me. Just die. The 19 Undying City Masters stood in a row on the void stairs. Above them, an enormous octagonal black array appeared. This was a terrifying array that could only be maintained by 19 bodies controlling it at the same time. The moment it appeared, its power caused the expressions of other cultivators to change. Who would have thought that Undying City Master is here too? That white-haired sword-using fellow is dead for sure. The muscular male shook his head. A huge black iron axe appeared in his hand as he hacked down on the stone door in front of him. Hong, hong, hong! He hacked down on the stone door, causing large amounts of shattered rocks to fly out. Brother Feishue, hurry up and admit defeat and escape. You might still have a chance of survival if you escape now. Celestial Sword Clan transmitted anxiously. He is too powerful. Furthermore, as long as one of the 19 bodies survives, the other bodies will be born rapidly. If you can't kill him, he will kill you. Can't kill him? Dongbush Shuang looked at the 19 figures shrouded in black fog. 19 bodies. Wouldn't it be fine if I destroy them all at once? Within his storage treasure, there were a large number of flying daggers. They were the set of flying dagger weapons that he bought in the Great Void Heaven Temple, Frost Shadow. A total of 3,600 of them. However, with his attainments in Fish Dragon Kill, he could only activate 1,200 of them at maximum power. However, it was already sufficient. In the eyes of Undying City Master, Celestial Sword Clan, and the gray-robed lady who were spectating from afar, densely packed weapons that were circulating with purple radiance appeared above the void staircase. Those purple radiance were the termination energy. Among them, 300 flying daggers were revolving around Dongbush Shuang to protect him. Dongbush Shuang stood at the highest point of the staircase and looked down at the 19 figures of Undying City Master. Go. Instantly, 900 flying daggers whizzed over like a storm. Every flying dagger merely left behind a purple trace. The countless purple traces were like the traces of a painting brush in the void. It was magnificent. Dongbush Shuang didn't care about the black array that was about to descend. He only cared about attacking. Attack? He is so confident? Celestial Sword Clan and the rest were puzzled. Although Dongbush Shuang's moves were cool, it didn't mean that his might was strong. This white-robed, white-haired male was obviously at the Unity Realm. A Unity Realm wanted to fight against Undying City Master head-on? Boom. Only Undying City Master, who was truly facing the threat of these flying daggers, felt his heart turning cold. Not good, I have met my match. Undying City Master immediately understood. Chapter 872. On the void stairs, the 19 Undying City Masters stared at the distant Dongbush Shuang. Their eyes were flashing with ferocity. He was after all an overlord whose name shook the entire Nine-Cloud Great Land. Even though he knew that this white-robed, white-haired male wasn't any weaker than him, how could he admit defeat so easily? As he controlled the dark magic array to descend from the sky, 3 rotating magic arrays appeared in front of him one after another. These 3 dark arrays were of different sizes, but they were like gears that intersected with each other. Their power was stacking up, completely blocking the path ahead of them. 900 surging violet streams of light bombarded against the 3 dark arrays that were interconnected like gears. At the same moment, the dark array in the sky descended towards Dongbush Shuang. Go! Shuang was slightly startled as he looked at the 3 dark arrays in the distance. As for the dark array in the sky, he did not care about it at all. He merely controlled the other 300 flying daggers to directly soar into the sky. Many violet streams of light blasted against the dark array, causing it to tremble before finally shattering into pieces. And in the distance, the 3 gear-like dark arrays in front of Undying City Master were different. The 900 flying daggers were executing the Fish Dragon Kill, a simplified version of the apocalyptic fifth sword. Even though its power was greatly reduced after the simplification, the quantity made up for this flaw. It was one of the killing moves of Dongbush Shuang. Hong long long. The 3 dark arrays were revolving continuously. The gears intersected, and their power stacked up. If 1 darkness array formation's defensive power was doubled, then 2 darkness array formations' defensive power would be 10 times, and 3 darkness array formations' defensive power would be 100 times. This was also another reason why Undying City Master dared to proclaim himself as Undying. Only when he maintained 19 bodies could he execute such a move. If it was just his true body, it would be impossible for him to execute such a terrifying move with the strength of his soul. I actually failed to break it. Dongbush Shuang was startled. And it seems that I am still a long way from breaking through the dark array. I really didn't expect that a random opponent in the Treasure God Pagoda would be qualified for me to use the 7 Undying Law Plates. Undying City Master's voice had already returned to his normal hoarseness. 1 On the foundation of the original 3 darkness formations, new darkness formations were condensed. Every dark formation was like a new gear stacked on top of each other, forming a new whole. If the first 3 dark spell formations were said to be able to accumulate terrifying power, it would be like an immovable city wall. In that case, the new dark magic formation would transform the accumulated power into offensive power. Hua! 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 3 consecutive dark arrays stacked on top of each other, causing Shuang to feel an intense sense of threat. He even felt that there were a total of 6 dark arrays of different sizes, yet they were extremely coordinated. It was as if they were a perfect whole, just like the operating laws of a cosmos. Right now, the 6 dark spell formations were transforming into terrifying attacks, waiting to be unleashed. The 19 Undying City Masters stood behind the 6 dark magic formations. They were watching this scene with a sneer. His strongest move, the 7 Undying Law Plates, was currently only able to unleash 6 Law Plates easily. His ideal 7 Law Plates was higher. In his opinion, the moment he succeeded in perfecting it, he would be able to fight against primal Chaos Realm giants. But he had yet to perfect it after cultivating for so many years. Nonetheless, he still named it the 7 Undying Law Plates. It was also for him to chase after this goal forever. I can't underestimate any 5th-level Star Pagoda expert. Dongbua Shuang watched this scene. He waved his hand, causing a total of 1,200 flying daggers to surge over violently. Die! The 19 Undying City Masters coldly shouted. The 6 laws revolved. The outermost Dharma plate suddenly emitted a Dharma plate shadow. The Dharma plate shadow rotated and enveloped all the flying daggers. Chi. When the Dharma plate shadow rotated, it was like a millstone. It easily obliterated the power of the flying daggers. But there were simply too many flying daggers, and they clashed continuously. In the distance, the Celestial Sword Clan and the loose gray-robed girl felt slightly apprehensive as they watched. They did not find it strange that Undying City Master had such a terrifying power. After all, he was famous, and his status was much higher than theirs. But this mysterious silver-masked white-haired male did not seem to be at a disadvantage when clashing head-on. It is fine if there is an Undying City Master, but now there is another one who is so powerful. Is he a native expert of the 9-Cloud Great Land? If he is a native expert, his name should have spread far and wide. The muscular male wielding a black metal great axe hacked down on the stone door time and time again. The stone door rumbled, forming deep pits. That black metal great axe was also flickering with lightning on its surface. This white-haired, white-robed male should not be a native expert. Is he from the 3 great sacred worlds? Or is he from the ancient sacred religion? The muscular male thought, interesting. This is too interesting. The array plate illusions came crushing over. Even though they were exhausted by the countless flying daggers, those 6 black array plates would produce new array plate illusions. The array plate illusions came one after another, and it was Dongbua Shuang who was gradually falling into a disadvantageous position. His strength seems to be gradually increasing? Dongbua Shuang was startled. With the rotation of the array plate, all energy can be used to converge, and its power will only increase. The 19 Undying City Masters were prideful. Because of this heaven-defying talent, he loved to venture into dangerous places. The 9-Cloud Great Land was after all a fragment of the primitive ancient sacred world, and there were some unfathomable places left behind. In the past, he had once entered an abandoned cavern dwelling. That cavern dwelling did not have any treasures, but there was a terrifying remnant aura within the cultivation room. That was the aura of the 7 array plates, the 7 black array plates perfectly fused as one and revolved. It was like the ultimate form of darkness and destruction. It shocked Undying City Master greatly. Ever since then, he would frequently comprehend them. From this remnant aura, he gradually deduced the undying 7 array plates. But what he deduced and what he saw in that cultivation room were many times different. Undying City Master guessed that it could be left behind by a final realm existence. But even if he deduced it slightly, it was enough for Undying City Master to rapidly increase his strength, allowing him to become an overlord of a region in the entire Nine-Cloud Great Land. As long as Primal Chaos Realm giants did not appear, he was an unparalleled existence. It can suppress my fish dragon kill? Dongbu Shuiying did not expect that he could get through the 5th level of Star Pagoda just by relying on the fish dragon kill. Interesting. A cold light flashed in the eyes of Dongbu Shuiying. 1. An unseen ripple immediately permeated into the 6 rotating dark array plates. The strongest domain type absolute art of the Great Void Heaven Temple, the plate ripple diagram, had a powerful domain restriction, causing the 6 rotating dark array plates to be affected. Even the attacking array plate illusory images were being obstructed. Even though they could still maintain their offense, their power was clearly reduced. Not good. This unseen ripple had also enveloped the 19 bodies of Undying City Master at the same time. It caused the expression of Undying City Master to change abruptly. It was hard for him to escape from such a terrifying restriction. His 19 bodies immediately started to turn incorporeal, like black mist. Dongbu Shuiying, who had unleashed the full power of the plate ripple diagram, was suppressing Undying City Master and the 6 great array plates. At the same time, the densely packed flying knives maintained their strongest power. They left behind countless violet light afterimages as they once again enveloped over. As for the greatly weakened array plate illusions, they seemed to have shattered after enduring for a moment. How could this be? Even though Undying City Master was unwilling to believe it, he understood that he wasn't the opponent of this mysterious white-robed man. If he were to fight head-on, he would likely die. Chapter 873. Hong. Suddenly, the 3 outermost magic discs that were used to attack dissipated, leaving behind the initial 3 dark magic discs. These 3 dark magic discs enveloped Undying City Master's black fog body and rapidly flew down the void stairs. Even though the flying daggers released by Dongbu Shuiying bombarded the 3 dark array plates, they could not break through. In the blink of an eye, Undying City Master rushed down the void stairs. He landed on the ground before saying with a hoarse voice, "Admirable, admirable. Who would have thought that I would meet an expert who could suppress me in the treasure cove? Can we stop here?" Dongbu Shuiying looked downwards. He snorted before turning to the stone door in front of him. At that moment, countless violet flying daggers bombarded the stone door. He stopped. This white-haired, white-robed man is actually gaining the upper hand. The gray-robed girl, Celestial Sword Clan, the muscular male, and the others were slightly startled. Even though Undying City Master had retreated the moment the situation turned bad, he did not engage in a life-and-death battle. But the situation was clear. Undying City Master had displayed his most famous Undying Array plate, yet he was still forced to retreat. This made them wary of Dongbu Shuiying. Even the Celestial Sword Clan thought, where did Brother Feishui come from? He is definitely not like what he said, breaking through to the Unity Realm just after entering closed-door cultivation. How could someone who just broke through be so powerful? Judging by his strength, he doesn't seem to be an overlord of our 9-cloud great land. He should be from the outer world. In the outer world. That meant he was from the 3 great sacred worlds, or the 2 great religions. That was not strange at all. The 9-cloud great land was ultimately a small place. There were many who reached the 5th level Star Pagoda from the 3 great sacred worlds and the 2 great religions, like the Great Void Heaven Temple, which focused on the path of elites accepted few disciples. But they had dozens of inner hall elders. And the Great Void Heaven Temple was merely a holy ground in the 7-star oceanic sacred world of the 3 great sacred worlds. No matter what, he has saved my heavenly sword mountain and my life, the Celestial Sword Clan thought. However, with his strength and background, it's best if I maintain some distance from him in the future. If I get involved in a conflict between the 2 great religions of the 3 saints' worlds, I'll probably be crushed instantly. Boom! The muscular man in the distance suddenly swung his axe, finally breaking through the stone door. The stone door shattered, revealing a spatial entrance. The burly man laughed and said, "The two of you fought, but I took advantage of you. I'll go in first." After saying that, he put away his axe and strode into the stone door, disappearing. "He's gone to the second level?" Dongbu Shuang, on the other hand, hastened his pace as a large number of flying sabers with terminus energy swirling around them shot out continuously. Undying City Master had also returned to the end of his void stairs and was attacking the stone door. Although he was attacking the stone door, he was constantly on guard against Dongbu Shuang. Once Dongbu Shuang came over, he would probably escape immediately. Humph. Dongbu Shuang glanced at the distant Undying City Master, but he didn't bother about him and continued attacking the stone door. Boom! The stone door was pierced through by a group of flying sabers, revealing the spatial entrance. Dongbu Shuang immediately stepped in. He felt the space changing and the scene in front of him had changed. In front of him was a wasteland. On the wasteland, there were many huge meteorites. Every meteorite was around 300 meters tall, like a small mountain. Boom, boom, boom! The muscular man in the distance was currently wielding a black iron axe. His body had grown to around 300 meters tall, and he was furiously hacking at the meteorites in front of him. Boom, boom, boom! Every time the axe hacked down, it would only cause some meteorite powder to fly out. Dongbu Shuang turned his head to take a look. However, he couldn't find the spatial entrance that he came from. However, this was normal. Every time a stone door formed a spatial entrance, only one person could enter. After entering, the spatial entrance would vanish. Therefore, in the first level of the treasure cove, one could escape through the God Tower's door. But in the second or third level, one would have to stay for 3 days before they would be teleported out. "These meteorite hills are really hard to hack," the muscular man said loudly. "Go." Dongbu Shuang casually chose the nearest meteorite hill. Instantly, a large number of flying sabers appeared. Every flying saber had termination energy swirling around it, transforming into countless purple rays of light that bombarded the meteorite hill. Accompanied by a series of explosions, some debris was sent flying, and traces of a depression could be seen on the meteorite hill. This caused Dongbu Shuang's expression to change slightly. According to the intelligence, one had to completely destroy a meteorite hill and turn it into powder. If it was only broken into 8 or 10 pieces, it wouldn't be enough. When it was completely turned into powder, a spatial entrance would appear, and one could use it to enter the highest level of the treasure cove, the third level. The treasures hidden in the third level were even more precious. Even to Emperor Juyun, these treasures were extremely important. A treasure cove God Tower would normally only have 2 or 3 treasures on the third level. However, it was too difficult to enter. It was relatively easy to just break the meteorite hill into pieces. But to completely turn it into powder, that was too difficult. Usually, only Primal Chaos Realm giants could do it. If it was a Unity Realm expert, he would have to reach the 6th level Star Pagoda strength before he could do it. Of course, even if he could not do it, he would still be able to reap some rewards. Because there were many treasures hidden within a single meteorite hill. During the process of breaking the hill and turning the rocks into powder, one would gradually discover the treasures. Who? As Dongbu Shuang was studying the meteorite hill, another figure appeared in the second level space of the treasure cove. He was Undying City Master. "The 3 of them have entered the second level. Do you plan on going?" Celestial Sword Clan stood on the void stairs and asked. After entering the second level, one would have to stay for 3 days before being teleported out. Even if one wanted to escape, it would be impossible for one to escape. Undying City Master and the others might be able to survive after entering, but for us to enter? Are we sending ourselves to death? The gray-robed girl shook her head. She was an extremely prideful person. But after seeing Dongbu Shuang fighting with Undying City Master, she wisely chose not to enter the second level. Celestial Sword Clan chuckled. He became vigilant. Because he would not be entering the second level. He had to be careful of this gray-robed girl for the next 3 days. Treasure Cove God Pagoda, second level space. After Undying City Master entered. Hong! The muscular male who was originally brandishing his black great axe suddenly kept it. He stomped on the ground, causing the ground to shake. This power caused the distant Dongbush Shuang, who was already on guard, to have a change in expression. Such terrifying strength. This was the space of the Treasure Cove God Pagoda, yet he could cause the entire ground to shake with a single stomp? This strength was absolutely beyond his. It was likely more than 10 times stronger. The muscular male was too fast. His speed was absolutely fast. Dongbush Shuang estimated that the other party's speed should be 50% faster than his. Where did this expert come from? Dongbush Shuang was startled. He had guessed that this muscular male was extraordinary, but this was still out of his expectations. Shatter! That muscular male's clearly thick arms suddenly let out a dazzling golden light. Every single arm was filled with many ugly life-form carvings. Dongbush Ying's eyes dilated. He recognized that these ugly life-form carvings were in the appearance of the destruction devils at the boundary of the void. Every single arm of the muscular male had 8 destruction devil carvings, causing his arms to possess a power that made Dongbush Shuang feel an intense threat. Both his fists were equipped with weapon gloves. He exerted all his strength and punched out furiously at Dongbush Shuang like 2 sky pillars. Ha ha, die! You don't think that I'll admit defeat so easily, right? The 19 Undying City Masters appeared once again. 6 black array plates appeared once again. Even though Dongbush Shuang held the upper hand previously, Undying City Master gave up so quickly because of the muscular male's voice transmission. If you don't die, the two of us can never be at ease. The eyes of the muscular male were filled with madness. If you die, the Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood will be split between the two of us. On the second level of the Treasure Cove God Pagoda, even if one destroyed the small meteorite hill for 3 consecutive days, the total amount of treasures obtained might not be comparable to the Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood. Chapter 874. The muscular man's fist seemed to be causing the entire second-level space to tremble. When this pair of fists came smashing over, Dongbush Shuang didn't even have the thought of blocking it. The power of this pair of fists is too strong. Without hesitation, he turned his body illusory and hid in the mirage world. At the same time, he also executed his domain-type absolute art, the plate ripple diagram, as well as the densely packed flying daggers. What a powerful domain! The muscular man was extremely confident in himself. However, he still felt the suppression of this domain, causing his strength and speed to decrease. Following that, a dense number of purple flying daggers shot over. Pun! He didn't care about these flying daggers at all. The offense of his fists didn't change at all. When a portion of the flying daggers collided with his fists, sparks could be seen flying out from the gloved fists. Even more purple flying daggers landed on the muscular man's body. However, that muscular body of his was able to forcefully block all the flying daggers. In fact, there was even a faint black glow appearing on the surface of his skin. Boom! Because Dongbush Shuang was able to dodge quickly with the help of his domain-type absolute art, that pair of fists landed on a small meteorite hill by the side. The meteorite hill trembled slightly, and 2 fist-sized holes appeared on it. What a powerful fist! It's much more powerful than the axe he used previously. Upon seeing this, Dongbush Ying's eyes lit up. When he used that black axe previously, he was truly hiding his strength. However, his body is too strong. He actually dared to block my flying daggers? It was one thing for his opponent to have great strength and speed. However, his body was like a void god weapon. This caused Dongbush Shuang to be speechless. Even with the illusory state and the mirage world, his body's defense might not be comparable to this man in front of him. His combat techniques are ordinary. However, his body is a terrifying weapon. Dongbush Shuang judged silently. It would be difficult for others to kill him. However, when he attacks his enemies, those who are slightly slower would not be able to dodge. If they were to be hit by his fist, they would be heavily injured even if they don't die. Hua! The translucent illusion of the Dharma disc also enveloped him. The 19 undying city masters sneered. He became even more confident when he saw his comrade's strength. He believed that if the two of them worked together, they would definitely be able to kill this mysterious expert. This comrade of mine has such a powerful body and such powerful speed. However, his battle style is also rather simple. It's straightforward. It doesn't pose any threat to me. He had a total of 19 bodies, so he could easily scatter and escape. The majestic man's straightforward and simple fighting style was a threat to experts who only had a body, but to Undying City Master, it was no threat. On the other hand, Dongbua Shuang was different. Dongbua Shuang specialized in group attacks and domain attacks. He was strong enough to threaten the Undying City Master's life. As long as Dongbua Shuang was still alive, Undying City Master felt a strong threat. Whether it was for the Golden Whisker Sky Thunderwood or for the treasure hunt in the next 3 days, he had to get rid of Dongbua Shuang. "Help me stop him!" the muscular man roared. "Leave it to me. He won't be able to escape." Undying City Master was very confident. No matter how fast Dongbua Shuang was escaping, how could he be faster than the illusion of the Dharma disc? Facing the translucent illusion of the Dharma disc that easily infiltrated the mirage world and arrived in front of him, Dongbua Shuang sighed inwardly. The two experts working together was indeed not ordinary. Although the plate ripple diagram was the strongest domain-type absolute art, it was still proficient in suppressing and restraining in all aspects. His opponent was still able to maintain 60 to 70% of his strength. Who? A large group of purple light flying daggers appeared out of nowhere and bombarded the illusion of the Dharma disc. The illusion of the Dharma disc naturally couldn't withstand the plate ripple diagram's fluctuations and directly dissipated. At this moment, the fist of the muscular man had already arrived. He grinned savagely and his eyes were filled with killing intent. "Ha ha!" Undying City Master laughed when he saw this. He might be able to block one, but he wouldn't be able to block the second. Dongbua Shuang looked at the muscular man and spoke softly. "Descend." Illusory layers of worlds descended, completely surrounding the muscular man's body. The size of each world wasn't considered big, only about half a kilometer. At first glance, it seemed like a world. If one looked carefully at the boundary of this world, they would discover that there were a total of 120 layers of membranes stacked on top of each other. 120 layers of dark world descended at the same time. It turned from illusory to real, absorbing the heaven and earth energy as it rapidly shrunk. Shuang laughed as he looked at the ferocious-looking man whose fist was just a few meters away from Shuang. Due to the restriction of the many layers of worlds, the muscular man was unable to advance any further. At this moment, the muscular man revealed a look of astonishment as he looked at Shuang. This world was too tough. He was actually unable to charge out. Dongbua Shuang muttered softly. "Pun!" A low rumbling sound could be heard. 120 layers of dark world were destroyed at the same time, and the power within all bombarded the muscular man's body. This was the strongest killing move that Dongbua Shuang had created. His talent in the Tao of Mirage was indeed very high. He had comprehended the second style of Dark World, Heaven Punishment Edge, but he wasn't able to execute it. Therefore, Dongbua Shuang simplified the first style, Dark Bubble. Even though it was simplified, it allowed its power to be maintained at a certain level, allowing him to execute more of it. He even absorbed some of the techniques from the second style when he created it. Originally, he could only execute 6 dark bubbles with his full strength. But now, with the simplified version of Multilayered World of Darkness, even though the scale of each layer was smaller and the power was weaker, he was able to execute 120 layers. Even though they were both simplified versions, the simplified version of the 5th Apocalyptic Sword, Fish Dragon Kill, wasn't as powerful as the Multilayered World of Darkness. The main reason was that Dongbush Shuang had walked further in the dark world. He had even completely comprehended the second style. Hong, the muscular man, also felt the terrifying might blasting against his body. It transmitted deep into his body and even shook his soul. Pu. The muscular man couldn't help but spurt out fresh blood. It was mixed with pieces of his internal organs. His ears and nose had blood seeping out. His clothes were tattered and the skin that was exposed was flowing with black light. There wasn't a single wound on his skin. His skin isn't even broken? Dongbush Shuang was astonished. Even though he was astonished, he could tell that the muscular man was injured as well. It was just that his body was too tough, causing his internal organs to be slightly weaker. What move is this? Undying City Master, who was watching excitedly from afar, was stunned. He could already tell how strong the muscular man's body was. Previously, the muscular man didn't even care about the flying daggers. But now, he was being bombarded to such a state. He was concealing his strength previously. The muscular man growled. He can't kill me. Let's attack together. Amen. Undying City Master gritted his teeth. He couldn't retreat at this moment because he had nowhere to run in the second level of the treasure cove. He could only fight. However, a trace of reverence rose in Undying City Master's heart. This white-haired, white-robed man had actually concealed his strength on the first level. He was able to suppress him just by revealing a portion of his strength. If he were to unleash his full strength on the first level, Undying City Master might even lose his life. Luckily, he had a comrade who was on par with him. Chapter 875. Dongbush Shuang rarely used his flying dagger. He mainly relied on the combination of multilayered darkness world and plate ripple diagram. Because multilayered darkness world had some advantages over the flying dagger. For example, the attack was more sudden. The flying dagger still needed to fly over to kill the enemy. But multilayered darkness world could directly descend from the illusory to the real world and envelop the enemy. There was no way to dodge. Previously, he had suddenly executed this technique on Undying City Master. Against the 19 bodies of Undying City Master, every single one of them was covered in 3 layers of dark world. After all, Shuang had some understanding of the defensive capabilities of the other party's body that could transform into black fog. Just 3 layers of darkness world shouldn't be able to kill him. But what Dongbush Shuang wanted was to not be able to kill him. Pa. The 19 bodies all suffered from the attacks of 3 layers of darkness world. There was a total of 57 layers of darkness world. At most, he could execute 120 layers of darkness world. Undying City Master's 19 bodies suffered attacks at the same time. Furthermore, the attacks came from the illusory world, causing him to feel the threat of death. The threat of the 2 of you joining hands isn't enough. Furthermore, you are using the same moves over and over again. Dongbush Shuang shook his head and said. His voice reverberated through the second level of the treasure cove. Since that is the case, let's end this. Shuang had always wanted to fight an evenly matched battle. He wanted to temper himself and force himself to do so. If he was able to execute the second move of Darkness World, Sky Punishment Edge, that would be great. He had comprehended it, but he was unable to execute it. This was something that Dongbush Shuang had always been puzzled about. It was a pity that the threat brought by the 2 of them wasn't enough. The muscular man was strong, but his attacking style was simple. Undying City Master could only execute the Undying 7 Laws plate. Although it was profound, it was mainly this killer move. But this was normal. Experts of the witchcraft and laws and profound mysteries system might have more varied techniques. Experts of other systems would usually specialize in a single killer move. You are unable to do anything to us. Undying City Master sneered. He and the muscular man wouldn't admit defeat. There was no way to escape here. Defeat was equivalent to death. Idiot. Dongbush Shuang sneered. Could it be that they didn't realize that the multi-layered world of darkness that he used to attack the majestic man had a total of 120 layers, while he only used 3 layers to attack the undying city master? That's right, the attack was too fast, as if a dark world had been shattered. The enemy probably didn't even notice the difference in the number of layers of the world membrane. Descend. Dongbush Shuang decided to use it once more. This time, the 19 bodies of Undying City Master were all attacked by the 3 layers of the dark world. At the same time, Dongbush Shuang had also conjured 63 dark worlds in the air around him. However, this large group of dark worlds did not attack any of the enemies. It was purely to show off. The continuous dark world shattered. Undying City Lord was stunned. He can still use so many world-shattering arts? Undying City Master felt a chill from the bottom of his heart. Seeing so many dark worlds not attacking any of the enemies, he felt despair. If all these dark worlds attacked him, would his 19 clones still be able to resist? You can kill him, but you can't do anything to me. The majestic man stood there. His eyes were cold, but he knew that the situation wasn't good. Because his comrade Undying City Master was completely frightened. Dongbush Shuang glanced at him. Is that so? As he spoke, he flipped his hand and a black gourd appeared in his hand. Shio. A palm-sized fireball suddenly flew out, transforming into a shooting star. Facing this shooting star-like fireball, the majestic man felt his heart palpitating. But under the suppression of the plate ripple diagram's domain, he could not escape or evade at all. The fireball instantly blasted against his chest. His incomparably tough body was directly pierced through, forming a huge hole. Furthermore, under Shui Ying's deliberate control, the fireball's power still affected the body of the muscular male. The majestic man's eyes were wide open. He lowered his head and looked at the huge hole in his chest, as well as the damage his body had suffered. If I am willing, killing you is also very easy, Dongbush Shuang said. Dongbush Shui Ying's current realm was higher, and his control of the fireball was much more flexible. Even the trajectory of the fireball had traces of the plate ripple diagram, making it hard for the majestic man to dodge. Silence reigned. In the second level of the treasure cove, Undying City Master and the majestic man stood there in a daze. They weren't fools, and they understood that this expert in front of them had the confidence to kill the 2 of them. If you can kill us, why didn't you? The majestic man said in a low voice. Why didn't you make a move in the first level? Were you afraid that I would escape? Undying City Master asked. But now that I have nowhere to escape to, why aren't you killing us? Dongbush Shuang said. In the first level, I naturally can't reveal too much of my strength. If I reveal too much, it might scare the 2 of you. Do you still dare to enter the second level? The majestic man and Undying City Master understood. If they had sensed the danger of death at that time, they wouldn't have entered the second level and allowed others to control their life and death. I hope that the 2 of you can enter the second level, Dongbush Shuang said. He pointed to the small meteorite hill by the side. I am not confident of destroying this small meteorite hill in just 3 days. I need helpers. And the 2 of you are strong enough. You are the helpers I need. I naturally won't kill the 2 of you. The majestic man and Undying City Master revealed a bitter smile. So, the other party had been hiding his strength, and only revealed it at the very last moment. It was all for the sake of turning the 2 of them into laborers. Dongbush Shuang sighed inwardly. Actually, he fought with the 2 of them in hopes of breaking through. It would be best if he could unleash the Sky Punishment Edge. That would give him the strength of the 6th level Star Pagoda. That way, it would be easier for him to enter the 3rd level of the Treasure Cove. It's a pity that he could not break through. These 2 helpers were extremely important. The 2 of you have 2 choices. One is to die, and the other is to help me destroy this small meteorite hill. As long as you help me, I can promise to let the 2 of you live, Dongbush Shuang said. The 2 of them exchanged glances. They had no choice. All right. You are formidable. We will help you, the 2 of them said. I still don't know what your name is. Let us know who exactly we lost to, and why we lost so miserably, the majestic man said. Dongwu Shuang said. Just call me Feishue. The moment the majestic man and undying city master heard it, they understood that this was a fake name, because they had never heard of any powerful cultivators called Feishue before. Xiao. Dongwu Shuang controlled the fireball from the black gourd to bombard the small meteorite hill by the side. But at the moment of contact, he was obstructed by an unseen spatial barrier. He could not touch it no matter what. It is indeed impossible to rely on external force. Dongwu Shuang shook his head inwardly. The intelligence report had already stated clearly. It was impossible to rely on external force to attack the small meteorite hill. One had to rely on one's own comprehension of a killing move. External force? For instance, a powerful and precious talisman that could unleash an attack at the primal chaos realm. But Emperor Jueyun was clearly testing the strength of the younger generation cultivators and not external force. Hurry up and do it! Stop wasting time. We do not have much time left. Dongwu Shuang roared. The majestic man and undying city master sighed helplessly in their hearts. They could only start doing manual labor. Dongwu Shuang added from the side. We have to do our best. I am clear of the strength of the two of you. Previously, the two of you were filled with fighting spirit when dealing with me. If the two of you are lazy, then I can only send the two of you to your deaths. We don't dare, we don't dare. The two of them felt even more helpless. So the previous battle was for the sake of probing the opponent's strength, preventing the two of them from being lazy. When Dongwu Shuang saw the results of their attack on the small meteorite hill, he could not help but nod inwardly. The attacks of the two of them are quite powerful. The two of them added together have almost caught up to my destruction speed. I hope that we can destroy this small meteorite hill within 3 days. Dongwu Shuang felt the pressure too. Sweat, the first chapter was actually a failure. The previous 2 chapters had already been published. Star. Chapter 876. Both the muscular male and undying city master had some status and reputation. Currently, for the sake of their lives, they were obediently doing their best to destroy the small meteorite hill. They were not interested in displaying their backbone and going against Dongwu Shuang, because the consequences of going against them would be that Dongwu Shuang would not hesitate to kill them. They were already prepared for this when they acted. Either they succeeded or they failed and died. Currently, it was not bad that Dongwu Shuang left them with a path of survival. In the blink of an eye, a day passed. This is troublesome. Dongwu Shuang frowned as he looked at the small meteorite hill that was about 300 meters tall. Currently, both Undying City Master and Undying City Master were attacking without any complaints. If not for the multi-layered Dark World technique, both Undying City Master and Undying City Master were much stronger than Dongwu Shuang in terms of offense. Their efficiency in destroying the small meteorite hill was relatively high. Many small pits were appearing. The entire small meteorite hill was like a fruit that had been bitten off. Large amounts of crushed rocks fell by the side. Under the control of Dongwu Shuang, they flew up. Hong! The 120 layers of the realm of darkness descended, wrapping around the meteorite fragment that was half a meter in diameter. Then, the 120 layers of the realm of darkness were completely destroyed. The power of the realm of darkness converged and bombarded the meteorite fragment. In an instant, the meteorite fragment was completely destroyed into powder. This caused the muscular man and Undying City Master to be speechless. Even though they had seen it many times, this destructive power still made them apprehensive. This move should be close to the 6th level of Star Pagoda. The muscular male muttered inwardly, "My body is practically indestructible, yet I am still heavily injured. Looking at this world-destroying technique, could it be that it is that new Inner Hall Elder from the Great Void Heaven Temple?" Undying City Master had stayed in the 9-Cloud Great Land for a long period of time, and his experience was much lesser. But the muscular male was different. His experience was much broader. He carefully thought about it. The most famous Unity Realm expert who specialized in using this illusory world to descend and destroy was the new Inner Hall Elder from the Great Void Heaven Temple, Dongbui Shuiying. But according to the intelligence, he should not be that formidable. This is troublesome. Only 20% of the small meteorite hill has been destroyed in a day. Can we make it in 3 days? Dongbui Shuiying was a little anxious. Sigh, although I have comprehended the second style of the Dark World, I am unable to use it. Although the apocalyptic sixth sword is close to a breakthrough, it is normal for me to be stuck at the bottleneck for millions of years. I only have 2 days left, and I don't have the time to study it. Using the 120 layers of the world of darkness had already exhausted all of his concentration. There was no way he could divert his attention to comprehend them. My heart realm has yet to break through. If I did, I should be able to reach the 6th level star pagoda strength. Dongbui Shuiying thought. The self-created multi-layered world of darkness could only be unleashed to 120 layers with the current soul strength. If there were more levels, the power would naturally be stronger. There were not many ways to improve the soul. One was to step into the primal chaos realm, and that was a qualitative improvement. The other option was to consume large amounts of origin world stones, which were also beneficial to the soul. However, he would need to consume a lot of it. Another method was the realm. 3 realms of the mind. Many Unity Realm experts had yet to step into the 3rd realm, including Dongbui Shuiying. There were even some primal chaos realm giants who did not pay much attention to the heart realm who had yet to reach the 3rd realm. The 3rd realm of the heart realm, my heart is the world, the moment one broke through, the soul would experience a qualitative improvement, just like iron being forged into steel. Similarly, when one reached the 1st level, the soul would be as bright as colored glass. When one reached the 2nd level, the entire soul would be as sharp as a blade. If one reached the 3rd level, just one's willpower could easily kill true god rulers. One look and they would die. That was definitely not a lie. Under that situation, if one's heart force was strong, it would be easy for one to control an entire set of flying knives. But when one unleashed the multi-layered world of darkness, it would not be 120 levels. It would most likely be 300 or even 500 levels. One would only know after breaking through. The number of levels one could unleash would greatly increase, and one's strength would naturally increase as well. It should be comparable to the 6th level star pagoda strength. It's a pity that the final breakthrough of the heart realm is harder to comprehend. Dongbui Shuiying shook his head. There were still ways to temper the first 2 levels of the heart realm. As for the 3rd level, my heart is the world, there was no other way. Not even the Great Void Heaven Temple could do anything about it. One had to rely on one's own experiences and comprehension. Since he could not break through, Dongbui Shuiying could only do his best to destroy those meteorite fragments, turning them into powder. Hong! Hong! The muscular male's fists were constantly blasting out holes. Suddenly, he punched out again and penetrated through the meteorite. There is a hole inside, the muscular male said. Quick! Dongbui Shuiying revealed a look of joy. He urged. Undying City Master was also helping by the side. The array plate illusory image shrunk and continued crushing those meteorites. The muscular male was also doing his best to smash the meteorites with his fists. Dongbui Shuiying continued destroying the rocks while watching. Finally, Hong, that meteorite completely collapsed, revealing a hole within. A black armor floated within. Good. Dongbui Shuiying praised. His expression was still calm. The black armor was a top-grade void god weapon. It was worth about 300 origin world rocks. The only thing that disappointed Dongbui Shuiying was that the black armor did not occupy a huge hole. It was merely a meter in diameter. One must know, there were many treasures hidden within the meteorite hill. Every single treasure occupied a hole. During the process of attacking, some of the holes would collapse. The bigger the hole, the more time it would save. A mere meter in diameter, to a 300-meter tall meteorite hill, it was not worth mentioning at all. Continue. With a thought from Dongbush Shuang, the black armor flew over. Dongbush Shuang kept it into his storage treasure and continued to instruct. Although the muscular male and undying city master were envious, they could only endure it and continue to do hard labor. Time continued to flow. The second day had passed. It was now the final third day. More than 50% of the meteorite hill had been destroyed. However, it was clear that time was too tight. Pen. Undying City Master controlled the array plate illusory image to crush a region of the meteorite hill. Suddenly, with a ping sound, it directly penetrated through. There's a treasure, Undying City Master said. Dongbush Shuang had long activated his formless ripple. He was constantly monitoring everything. Naturally, he had also discovered it. The ripple flowed through the hole and into the hole. This caused Dongbush Shuang to reveal a look of wild joy. Even someone as calm as him could not suppress the joy on his face. Because this hole was simply too big. Quick, quick, Dongbush Shuang urged. Pum pum pum. The muscular male and undying city master attacked with all their might. Instantly, pieces of the meteorite hill collapsed. This was an extremely huge hole. One must know that the entire meteorite hill was 300 meters tall. However, the width and length of this hole was only around 30 meters. The largest hole was around 50 meters, while the smallest hole was around 10 meters. This hole occupied more than half of the meteorite hill. This allowed Dongbush Shuang to see the hope of destroying the entire meteorite hill. Within this huge hole, a sapling was placed. The sapling was around 50 meters tall. Its leaves were jade green. Jade Wave Realm God Tree. Dongbush Shuang revealed a look of joy. This was also the most valuable treasure amongst the 9 treasures found on the meteorite hill. Its value was around 1,600 origin world rocks. It had surpassed the other 8 treasures added together. Hong soon, more than half of the third day had passed, and there were only 6 hours left. The muscular male, undying city master and the others were doing their best to smash the meteorite fragments. Shuang was also displaying the multi-layered dark world to attack the final meteorite fragments. Following that, there was a final boom. Finally, all the meteorite hill turned into dust. Success. Although the muscular male and undying city master were doing hard labor, they felt relieved. They were afraid that they would not be able to destroy the entire meteorite hill within 3 days. They were afraid that Dongbush Shuang would vent his anger on them and kill them. At the very least, Dongbush Shuang's mood was not bad. The entire meteorite hill has a total of 10 treasures. In total, they are worth around 3,800 origin world rocks. There's also the golden whisker sky thunderwood that I obtained from the first level. It's a pity that it is still far from 10,000 origin world rocks, Dongbush Shuang thought. However, he was still feeling elated in his heart. He was very clear that his harvest this time was extremely shocking. When the spatial entrance appeared in midair, Dongbush Shuang had already released the open ripple map to suppress the surroundings. He did not wish for others to enter before him. Because they had only destroyed 1 meteorite hill, the spatial entrance would close after 1 person entered. So, Dongbush Shuang flew to the side of the entrance and looked down. The muscular male and undying city master were extremely nervous. The muscular male even said, "You said that if we help you, you will spare our lives." He had even guessed Dongbush Shuang's identity. He was afraid that he would incur Dongbush Shuang's killing intent, but he did not dare to say it. "Hand over all your treasures." Dongbush Shuang looked down. "I will spare your lives." "All the treasures?" The 2 of them were startled. However, they did not hesitate to toss out all their storage treasures and weapons. It was good that they could live. With a thought from Dongbush Shuang, all the treasures flew over and were kept by Dongbush Shuang. Following that, Dongbush Shuang turned and flew into the spatial entrance. After entering, the spatial entrance disappeared. Who? Only then did Undying City Master and the muscular male heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, he did not kill us. The 2 of them had truly walked on the edge of death. Hong! The muscular male turned and waved his fists, smashing furiously towards the meteorite hill by the side. Undying City Master woke up as well. He hurriedly chose a meteorite hill and started attacking it. He had to make full use of his time. There were still 6 hours left. He might be able to obtain some treasures in these 6 hours to make up for his losses. If he was lucky, he might even be able to earn a huge profit. Chapter 877. When Dongbu Shuang stepped into the entrance, he could feel the space around him distorting. Following which, his vision turned dark. This is... Dongbu Shuang was already standing in a dark and ancient hall. The hall wasn't big and was only about 100 meters wide. The dark gray door of the hall was closed. A faint aroma could be sensed from within the hall, permeating through every corner of the hall. This is the 3rd level of the treasure cove? Shuang looked at this seemingly ordinary palace hall. It was completely empty, with only a few decorations present. For instance, there were some items hanging on the walls, and there was a throne right at the front. Behind the throne, there was a huge sculpture on the wall. It was a sculpture of a huge dark cloud. Even though the dark cloud was just a carving, it seemed to cover the entire sky. An invisible pressure enveloped the entire hall. Where are the treasures? Where are the treasures of the 3rd level? Since I'm able to enter, it means that the treasures of the 3rd level haven't been completely taken away. Dongbu Shuang thought to himself. He had long released his invisible ripples to scan every corner of the hall, but he didn't manage to find anything. Dongbu Shuang walked forward with some doubts. His gaze first landed on the most eye-catching carving of the hall, which was right behind the throne. The dark cloud carving was too eye-catching. In fact, it even gave off a strong pressure. Dongbu Shuang soon walked to the side of the throne. He lifted his head and looked at every part of the dark cloud carving. The lines of the carving. Impressive. These lines are very natural, but they have already formed an extremely mysterious array. I wasn't able to identify it at first glance. Dongbu Shuang observed carefully. Even though this array was powerful, he couldn't move it away. He wasn't able to learn it yet. Furthermore, this dark cloud carving array didn't seem to be used for battle. Found it! Dongbu Shuang's eyes lit up as he looked at the edges of the carvings. There were black pearls embedded in the carvings as decorations. There were a total of 12 black beads. They looked ordinary and seemed to be one with the sculpture. Their aura had also fused with the sculpture. Dongbu Shuang did not notice any problems with them even with the plate ripple diagram. But when he looked at them from a close distance, he could vaguely see that there were clouds moving around the black beads. This was something that could not be seen with other methods, and could only be seen with the naked eye. These 12 pearls were known as the Black Water Pearl. They were extremely famous treasures in the primitive ancient saint world. A single one was worth more than 3,000 origin world stones, and it was rumored that there were even more miraculous uses when there were too many of them. Even final realm existences were collecting them. 12 black water droplets are worth more than 36,000 origin world rocks. Dongbu Shuang's eyes lit up. With a single thought. So. A total of 9 flying daggers flew out and pierced the edges of the black water droplets. However, the entire surface of the dark cloud sculpture suddenly lit up with a layer of invisible light. Pum. Instantly, all the flying daggers were knocked away. This dark cloud sculpture is so powerful? Although Dongbu Shuang had expected this, he was still a little unwilling. Destroy this sculpture array. Without the protection of the entire array, the black water pearl itself is just a precious treasure. It will be much easier to obtain it. With a thought from Shuang. Long. A total of 1,200 flying daggers, each carrying a violet termination energy, surged out and bombarded the dark cloud sculpture with a grandiose momentum. The invisible light on the surface of the dark cloud sculpture deflected all the incoming flying daggers. Go! Dongbu Shuang willed. In an instant, a total of 120 layers of dark world descended. However, every layer of dark world was in the shape of a hemispherical, and it enveloped one of the corners of the dark cloud sculpture. With Dongbua Shui Ying's strength, he could vaguely determine that that was one of the central points of the countless runes on the dark cloud sculpture. Hong, the descent of the 120 layers of dark world caused the heaven and earth energy in the hall to surge violently. The final explosion caused the invisible light on the surface of the dark cloud sculpture to appear once more, and it easily blocked the attacks. How could this be? All of my attacks were easily blocked by it. Dongbua Shuang could feel that his attacks were still far from the limit of the invisible light on the surface of the dark cloud sculpture. The invisible light blocked his attacks with ease. Could it be that I really can't obtain it? Dongbua Shuang looked at the dark cloud sculpture in front of him, and then looked at the 12 black water pearls that were used as decorations. He could see it, but he couldn't obtain it. Let's search again. Dongbua Shuang searched the entire hall carefully. He even tried to remove some of the decorations hanging on the walls. Unfortunately, the walls were all protected by arrays, and he couldn't remove them at all. After searching for a while, Dongbua Shuang walked back to the side of the dark cloud sculpture. He lowered his head and looked at the throne in front of him. This was a throne that was entirely carved out of wood. The patterns on the wood were beautiful. If one were to carefully observe it, these patterns would faintly form many sinister faces. There was a sinister aura permeating out towards Dongbua Shuang. This is the ghost diagram sacred wood. Dongbua Shuang was dumbstruck. He extended his hand and gently caressed it. There was indeed an unseen array sealing the surface of this throne. No wonder there is no aura coming from this throne that is carved out of the ghost diagram sacred wood. So it is isolated by arrays. If I don't carefully observe the patterns, I wouldn't be able to recognize it. The ghost diagram sacred wood might seem to emit a sinister aura, but it was something powerful cultivators yearned for. Even if one used a small amount of ghost diagram sacred wood to refine a necklace around the neck, or carve it on a storage wristband, it would be beneficial to the soul. Carving such a huge piece into a throne was considered extravagant even to cosmos gods. Furthermore, after the collapse of the primitive ancient sacred world, the ghost diagram sacred wood could no longer be produced. The value of this throne was even higher. It was double the price of the one in the primitive ancient sacred world, and should be worth 50,000 origin world rocks. 50,000 origin world rocks. No wonder Emperor Julian's treasure cove could drive primal chaos realm giants crazy. One had to know that most primal chaos realm giants could not take out 50,000 origin world rocks even after selling all their treasures. Even those who had gotten through the 8th level of Star Pagoda might not be able to gather so many origin world rocks. Only Primal Chaos Hall Master and other old fellows who had reached the bottleneck could take out such treasures. Naturally, this was under ordinary circumstances. Those like Dongbua Shuang who entered the treasure cove were considered special. I've entered. But can I leave? Dongbua Shuang was not confident. Previously, he could not take down the 12 black water droplets, so how could he bring this ghost diagram sacred wood throne away? Rise. Dongbua Shuang grabbed the armrest of the throne with both hands. He exerted force, and the strength of his void walker body erupted. Hong, the throne did not move at all. It was as if it was connected to the entire palace hall. Dongbua Shuang was slightly unwilling as he waved his hand, causing the 120 layers of dark world to descend. It merely wrapped around the edges of the armrest of the throne. Even though he was not confident, he was afraid of damaging the throne. Nonetheless, reality proved that he was thinking too much. His 120 layers of dark world could hardly be damaged even when they were gathered by the edges of the armrest of the throne. It's useless. Dongbua Shuang lowered his head to look at the throne before looking up at the dark cloud sculpture. One was worth more than 50,000 origin world rocks. And one was worth more than 36,000 origin world rocks. This was most likely the core of one of the 16 treasure coves that Emperor Julian constructed. As for those at the first and second level, they were merely scraps. No wonder the intelligence report stated that primal chaos realm giants could not bring away any treasures after entering the third level. Dongbua Shuang muttered inwardly, It seems it is as I guessed. I still have to break the seal left behind by Emperor Julian. If I can't break it, I can't bring it away. Chapter 878. Dongbush Shuang initially felt an intense surge of emotions. After all, this was a huge treasure cove. But very soon, he regained his calmness because this outcome was within his expectations. Being a Unity Realm expert at the 5th level Star Pagoda strength, even if he entered the 3rd level of Emperor Julian's treasure cove, it would be hard for him to bring away the treasures. Previously, when he entered the 2nd level, even if he did not wish to enter the 3rd level, he would still have to destroy the small meteorite hill to obtain the treasures. Secondly, he still had the mentality of wishful thinking. If he lost, he would be fated to obtain it. After all, it was an extravagant hope for a Unity Realm expert to obtain such a treasure cove. Perhaps there might be some other treasures. Dongbush Shuang walked within the palace hall. He was carefully inspecting every single ornament. He even inspected the stone slabs on the ground. He discovered several ornaments worth several hundred origin world rocks, but it's a pity he could not take them away. Home, Dongbush Shuang walked to the entrance of the palace hall. He attempted to open the door. The dark gray door was shut. Dongbush Shuang could not open it at all. After a round, he returned to the side of the ghost diagram sacred with throne. He carefully inspected the throne and the ceiling array before looking at the array formed by the dark cloud carvings on the walls. He wanted to see if he could break the array and obtain the treasures. Time passed. 2 hours, 4 hours. I can't inspect the array of the ghost diagram sacred with throne. I can only forcefully attack and break the seal once my strength reaches a certain level. Dongbush Shuang thought. He looked at the dark cloud carvings in front of him, and these dark cloud carvings, the engraved patterns are clear in front of me. I can follow them. But they are extremely mysterious. It is impossible to comprehend the method to break them within a short 6 hours. Asterisk 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 First level of Treasure Cove God Pagoda. The Celestial Sword Clan and the grey-robed girl looked at each other from afar. They revealed a grin. The two of them had a tacit understanding. They did not fight against each other because they were not confident. The Celestial Sword Clan was clear of their own strength. As for the grey-robed girl, she felt that the three before her were heaven-defying, and those who stayed on the same level as her might have some absolute moves. It was better for her to be cautious. The two of them actually lived in harmony until now. I wonder how Brother Feishue is doing, the Celestial Sword Clan thought to itself. The three of them are all on the 2nd floor. If they were to fight, the outcome would be unpredictable. Buzz. Spatial fluctuations descended, enveloping both the Celestial Sword Clan and the grey-robed woman. The two of them vanished into thin air. After 3 days were up, the two of them were teleported out. The 2nd level of the Treasure God Pagoda. Undying City Master and the Muscular Man were attacking the meteorite hill in front of them with all their might. Ha ha ha, time is almost up. Undying City Master, your luck this time is just SOSO. The Muscular Man laughed and said, At least I've earned all my losses. You seem to have only obtained 1 treasure. Undying City Master's face was ice cold. This time around, he was really unlucky. He had only just made a move against Dongbush Shuang, but he was already suppressed. Furthermore, this was because Dongbush Shuang was intentionally hiding his strength. After 2 days of hard labor, all the treasures were taken away by Dongbush Shuang. Luckily, Dongbush Shuang did not kill him. For the remaining 6 hours, he and the Muscular Man were attacking the meteorite hill. The Muscular Man obtained 3 treasures that were worth more than 1,000 origin world rocks. As for Undying City Master, he only obtained 1 which was worth more than 200 origin world rocks. This was merely 20 to 30% of the treasures he had on him before he came. That white-robed man's luck is really good. He managed to enter the 3rd floor. Who knows, he might have obtained some great treasures. Comparing, Undying City Master felt that he might as well not have entered Emperor Julian's treasure cove. Buzz. Spatial fluctuations descended. The muscular man and undying city master were teleported out. In the darkness, there was a figure sitting cross-legged. His body was slightly hunched, and his eyes were looking ahead. An image appeared in the void in front of him. It was the image of an ancient hall. Inside, a white-robed Dongwu Shuang was looking at the dark cloud sculpture. This little fellow, he is really young. Looking at the aura of his soul, he has cultivated for a short period, yet he has reached such a strength. Amongst the batches of cultivators that entered the treasure cove, he is considered one of the best in terms of comprehension ability. The eyes of the seated figure were faintly brightening. Indeed, on the surface, in terms of comprehension ability, Dongwu Shuang was the fastest to reach the 5th level Star Pagoda's strength in the Great Void Heaven Temple. Naturally, the comprehension ability of Sword Master was not any weaker than that of Dongwu Shuang. Even though the Sword Master had cultivated for more than half a cosmos epoch when he came to the Great Void Heaven Temple, he had been cultivating within his hometown cosmos. He did not have any good resources or books to read. He had purely immersed himself in cultivation and reached the primal chaos realm. The moment he arrived at the Great Void Heaven Temple and went into closed-door cultivation, he had directly stepped into the final realm. With such comprehension ability, if he had entered the Great Void Heaven Temple earlier, much less the 5th level Star Pagoda strength, he would have stepped into the primal chaos realm within a short period. But be it the Sword Master or Dongwu Shuang, both of them had extremely high innate talent and comprehension ability. Coming to the 9-Cloud Great Land, there were not many who could enter the treasure cove of Emperor Julian. There were none who could compare with Dongwu Shuang. Even though there were primal chaos giants who had entered before, they were all old fellows who had cultivated for an unknown period of time. It was extremely difficult for them to improve further. His potential and comprehension ability are high, the seated figure muttered. More importantly, he isn't a subordinate of Sacred Master. He isn't controlled by Ancestor Mother either. Very good. Dongwu Shuang looked at the dark cloud carvings on the wall in front of him. He had a vague feeling in his heart. It was almost time. The 3 days were up. It's a pity that I can't bring the treasures I saw at the 3rd level of the treasure cove. Dongwu Shuang thought, but thinking about it, I have gained quite a lot from this trip to the treasure cove God Pagoda. Amen? A thought flashed in the mind of Dongwu Shuang. Suddenly he frowned in puzzlement. He looked around him. Why isn't there any movement? According to the information he received, he would be teleported out after the 3 days were up. With his current realm, his perception of time was extremely accurate. The 3 days were up. But there was no spatial fluctuation. Hong long long. In the distance, the palace door that he tried to open previously was pushed open with a rumble. Dongwu Shuang was startled. The door is open. He did not hesitate to walk towards the palace door. There was no need for him to worry about the danger. The methods left behind by Emperor Julian wanted to kill him. There was no need for him to use any tricks. He should be able to easily kill him. The 3 days were up and he was not teleported out. Instead, the palace door was opened. Outside the palace door, there was a wide corridor. Dongwu Shuang looked to both sides. The 2 sides of the corridor were relatively deep. This was clearly a huge palace. The previous palace hall was merely a small part of it. Where is this? Didn't they say that the 3rd level of the treasure cove is within the palace hall? Now that I'm outside the palace hall, it seems that this place is very big. Dongwu Shuang felt puzzled. He casually chose a direction and walked towards it. He passed by some other sealed palace halls and even a spacious courtyard. At the center of the courtyard, there was a huge fiery red cauldron. The fiery red cauldron was emitting a surging aura that resembled that of a bird. The pressure it emitted was even more majestic. This pressure had reached the level of Forefather Tian Yu and Sword Master. Chapter 879. Dongwu Shuang looked at the red cauldron and felt the terrifying pressure coming from it. His pupils constricted. Universe-level treasure? And it's probably of a very high level amongst the universe-level treasures. His horizons were limited, however this was the strongest treasure he had ever seen. Its value far exceeded the 12 black water droplets. "This is the 3 hell of fire cauldron," a hoarse voice resounded. Shuang turned over. There was a stooped black-robed male walking over from the distant corridor. This stooped male's cold eyes were staring at that huge cauldron. He continued, "Its origins are unknown. It was obtained by my master monarch Nine Cloud during the primitive ancient sacred world era. Even after he died, my master could not unravel the true profound mysteries behind this 3 fire prison realms cauldron. Even the name of this huge cauldron was only known from Sacred Master. It is also the main reason why my master fell." Dongwu Shuang was shocked. This cauldron was the main reason why Emperor Julian died. Ever since the Saint Master found out that my master had this cauldron, he came to ask for it. Only when he spoke did my master find out the true name of this cauldron. Obviously, the Saint Master knew the history of this cauldron and its secrets. The crooked black-robed man laughed coldly. Unfortunately, the Saint Master was too tyrannical. As the undisputed strongest warrior of the primitive ancient Saint World era, the conditions he gave my master were too low. Why would my master agree to it? Hence, the Saint Master went against my master time and time again. In the final battle, the Saint Master unleashed all of his strength, mainly targeting my master. My master was heavily injured, and while he managed to escape, he died very quickly. The black-robed man's hoarse voice was filled with hatred. Unfortunately, the Saint Master always wanted this cauldron, yet he never got it. Dongwu Shuiying's heart tightened as he heard this. Saint Master, even though almost all the ultimate beings had a grudge against him, he was still the most dazzling. He stood at the top and looked down on all the other ultimate beings. He monopolized the strongest of the 5 great sacred worlds, the ancient sacred world, and single-handedly forced the other 3 sacred worlds to join forces. As for Ancestor Mother, even though he created the Ancestor Mother religion and was ranked in the top 3 in terms of strength, he could not compare with Sacred Master. Holy Lords were existences that completely surpassed all other ultimate existences. The feud between the Saint Lord and Emperor Julian, and the Saint Lord wants the 3 fire prison realms cauldron? Dongwu Shuang muttered inwardly. Such a huge secret, and you are telling me, a Unity Realm brat? Even the great Void Heaven Temple's forefather Tian Yu and the Sword Master were weaker than Emperor Julian in terms of strength, let alone the Holy Lord. According to the information he received. The division of power between ultimate existences. Saint Lords were the undisputed strongest, the first level. Next were Ancestor Mother, Jiezu, Wu Zu, Blade Emperor, Devil Mountain Primogenitor, and a few others who were at the second level. The fallen Emperor Julian was also at the second level. The majority of other cosmos gods like Forefather Tian Yu, Sword Master, Void Primogenitor, Ancestor Bone, Juni Fazu, and many others were at the third level. Of which one was slightly special, and that was Myriad Realm Tavern Master. Because he had many avatars, nobody could kill him. Nobody was willing to become enemies with him, and he was considered the most unique cosmos god. Do you know why I am telling you these? The black-robed male stooped. His cold eyes stared at Dongwu Shuang. His hoarse voice was filled with resentment and killing intent. Because Master hates Sacred Master the most. Even if he dies, he will deal with Sacred Master. Dongwu Shuang could vaguely see that this black-robed male should be a puppet life form. Even a puppet life form was filled with hatred and killing intent. One could see how much his master, Emperor Julian, hated Sacred Master. Since Master is dead, he needs those who came after him to help him. The black-robed male said. And you are one of them. Me? Dongwu Shuang was stunned. Me deal with Sacred Master? Senior, aren't you overestimating me? That was Sacred Master. Almost all final realm existences had enmity with him. He was the most dazzling existence in existence. Even if he was more confident of himself, and even thought of himself becoming a final realm existence in the future, he dared not think of dealing with Sacred Master. After all, even Ancestor Mother, World Master, Wu Zu, and the others could not do it. It is naturally impossible for you to do it alone. You are just one of them. The black-robed male sneered with a hoarse voice. Why do you think Master left behind the treasures? Is he really going to spread them out? You are wrong. The first and second level of the Treasure Cove God Pagoda are filled with ordinary treasures that aren't worth mentioning to Master. They are meant to attract experts from the outside world. And the third level of the Treasure Cove God Pagoda is the crucial point. This third level is located in the space where all the third-level experts of the 16 treasure coves will be teleported here. The black-robed male casually said. It is just one of the 16 palace halls in Master's cultivation palace. The treasures within the 16 palace halls are extremely precious. Even though ordinary primal chaos existences can enter, they can't bring them away. They are either extremely powerful primal chaos existences or have extremely high attainments in certain aspects. The black-robed male said, Those who can take away the treasures on the third level are also helpers chosen by Master. As for you, you are also one of the helpers. Dongbush Shuang felt puzzled. Previously, I did not even take away a single treasure from the palace hall. How can I be qualified to be chosen as a helper? I have my eyes on your potential. The black-robed male looked at Dongbush Shuang. He grinned. It was just that his smile was horrifying. My Master's treasure cove has existed for so long. You should be the one with the highest potential and comprehension ability that I have met. Those primal chaos existences have cultivated for so long, and it is hard for them to improve any further. Some can't even take away the treasures on the third level. They are too weak and aren't qualified to be helpers. Only those primal chaos existences who could take away the treasures are of some use. As for you, your potential and comprehension ability are extremely high. That is why I have chosen you as my helper. The black-robed male coldly said, All the helpers who are chosen will have the same conditions. Kill a saint from the ancient sacred religion, and you will get a treasure worth 10,000 origin world rocks from me. The more you kill, the more treasures you will get. Kill 50 saints or cosmos gods from the ancient sacred religion, and all the treasures left behind by Master will be yours. Dongbush Shuang was stunned. He felt helpless. Kill saints? Who were saints? They were primal chaos giants. Like the 7-star oceanic sacred world, the Great Void Heaven Temple had 12 primal chaos giants. Primogenitor Devil Mountain and Jade Light's sacred territory had quite a few primal chaos giants too. There were also many primal chaos giants who were not willing to join the holy grounds. In total, there were only a few dozen primal chaos giants in the entire 7-star oceanic sacred world, and not more than 150 is considered a huge loss to the ancient sacred religion. Dongbush Shuang thought, as for cosmos gods, Sacred Master has offended too many final realm existences, and only a single cosmos god chose to join him. If he were to kill this cosmos god, it would be equivalent to breaking an arm of Sacred Master. I can't kill saints, Dongbush Shuang said. You can't kill them now, but you can in the future. The black-robed male said, According to the evaluation of the outer world, you can kill 5th-level Star Pagoda experts from the ancient sacred religion. 10 of them are equivalent to a saint. If you are to kill 4th-level Star Pagoda experts, 100 of them are equivalent to a saint. Once the number is reached, you will be able to obtain 1 trillion origin world rocks. The more you kill, the more you will get. The eyes of the black-robed male were filled with madness. Furthermore, if you kill 50 saints or that cosmos god, this 3-fire prison realm's cauldron and all other treasures will belong to you. Do you believe that I will definitely help Emperor Julian? Dongbush Shuang asked. I've investigated using a secret technique. You aren't a believer of the ancient sacred religion. The black-robed male nonchalantly said. Currently, those who aren't from the ancient sacred religion are practically enemies with the Sacred Master. Furthermore, I'm only using the treasures for you to do things for me. It's a fair trade. All right. Dongbush Shuang understood in his heart. The treasures at the third level of the treasure cove were definitely hard to obtain. Because if they could be easily taken away, what treasures could be used to attract helpers? Chapter 880. The black-robed man stooped. He waved his hand and threw a talisman to Dongwu Shuang. Refine this talisman. Only you can use it. When you kill enough higher-ups of the ancient sacred religion, you can activate the talisman within the 9-cloud great land and be teleported to this palace. You can then ask me for treasures of corresponding value. Dongwu Shuang received it and immediately refined it. Follow me. The black-robed man turned around and walked deeper into the palace along the corridor. Dongwu Shuang followed behind. They arrived at a hidden staircase in the palace. They walked down the staircase and finally entered a hidden cultivation room. This is the cultivation room that Master uses. The black-robed man entered the cultivation room. Dongwu Shuang followed behind. With a glance, the cultivation room was huge. It was comparable to the Great Void Heaven Temple's myriad elephant palace hall. At the frontmost part of the cultivation room, there were many bookshelves. The bookshelves were filled with large amounts of original books. The bookshelves occupied about 30% of the entire cultivation room. Behind him, it was empty. There was only a praying mat placed on the ground. The bookshelves are filled with books that Master has collected and created. The black-robed man pointed to the praying mat. Master would usually cultivate here. You can learn all the books in this cultivation room. If you can learn all of them, you can also impart them if you want. The black-robed man said. This is a benefit that every helper has. When you are done learning, and you plan to leave, just tell me. I will send you out of this place. Saying that, the black-robed man turned and walked out. I can hear whatever you say in this palace, the black-robed man said before walking out of the cultivation room. Only Dongwu Shuang was left in the cultivation room. Dongwu Shuang did not hesitate to walk towards the bookshelves. He began flipping through these books. These were the crystallization of the wisdom of senior cultivators. Since they could be collected by Emperor Juyun, they would definitely not be ordinary. Woo! Dongwu Shuang looked at the first book in his hands. It was an ancient cultivation classic called the Eye of Disintegration. If an ancient cultivator's awakened talent at the beginning of cultivation was related to the eyes and inclined to attack, they could cultivate in the direction of the Eye of Disintegration. Some ancient cultivators cultivated purely based on luck, and those with powerful legacies would also deliberately guide their own evolution. The innate talent was very important, but the acquired guidance and cultivation were also very important. This Eye of Unraveling was one of the schools of ancient cultivation at the cosmos god level. Both eyes shot out the light of disintegration. A single glance was enough to disintegrate an entire cosmos. Even cosmos gods did not dare to use their bodies to resist against it. Dongwu Shuang looked at it carefully. Close to half the books here were related to ancient cultivation. At the very least, they could be cultivated to the primal chaos realm. Some could be cultivated to the cosmos god level. In terms of strength, innate talent was very important, and so was acquired cultivation. Both had to be perfect enough to achieve great things in the end. The Sacred Lord was the strongest ancient cultivator. Maybe I can cultivate in ancient cultivation too? Dongwu Shuang had read through too many ancient cultivation classics. He could not help but have this thought. It was normal for experts to cultivate in different cultivation systems. For instance, the peak of the bloodline cultivation system was the primal chaos realm giant. They would definitely have to cultivate in other systems. Usually, those who chose to cultivate in different systems would do their best to make up for their weaknesses. Dongwu Shuang did not think about it in the past. But now that he had gotten his hands on so many ancient cultivation techniques, if he was lucky, he would have a great talent. Hence, it was worth spending his effort. I'm not in a rush. Wait till I've settled the matters regarding Jingqiu and the others. When I have sufficient time and energy, I'll try cultivating again. Dongwu Shuang thought. There were quite a few cultivators in the Great Void Heaven Temple who cultivated in ancient cultivation too. There was no need to talk about true God disciples. Even primal chaos realm giants like Inquisitive Sky Hall Master was someone who cultivated in ancient cultivation. Hence, He could easily investigate anything that happened in the endless region and teleport Dongwu Shuang to the nine-cloud Great Land. This was a talent that leaned towards supporting an ancient cultivation. Nonetheless, it was heaven-defying. After all, the primal chaos void was too vast. The distance from the seven-star oceanic sacred world to the nine-cloud Great Land was too far. It was hard for cosmos gods to rush over, yet inquisitive Sky Hall Master could easily send others over. The methods of ancient cultivation were indeed enviable. After spending half a year, Shuang had flipped through all the books. Of which, there were only a few books that were helpful to his current cultivation. After all, at his current realm, it was too difficult to find a book that was similar to his path. But it had broadened his horizons. He even had some conjectures about the reason why he could not display the second style of Dark World, Sky Punishment Edge. It should most likely be related to the realm of the heart. Dongwu Shuang guessed. Because in one of the absolute art books he read, there was a similar description, third stage, Nirvana Flame. If one had not reached the third realm of the heart, his heart realm would not be sufficient. Even if he comprehended all the bottlenecks, he would still be unable to display the Nirvana Flame. In order to reach the third realm of the heart, one had to carefully comprehend the meaning of Nirvana. This absolute art had a similar situation. If one's heart realm was not sufficient, one could not display it even if he comprehended it. Just like how mortals drew, if they did not have a suitable heart realm, they would not be able to produce a painting of a sufficient level. But to reach the third realm of the heart, Dongwu Shuang was pondering. He was even pondering over the meaning of Nirvana described in that absolute art. According to the description in that absolute art, only when one had great benevolence and devotion, and was willing to sacrifice for the masses without any distracting thoughts, could one comprehend the meaning of Nirvana amidst the sacrifice, reviving from the dead. This was also the prerequisite for grasping the heart realm of the Nirvana Flame. Dongwu Shuang sat there for a long time to no avail. He could not help but shake his head. This third level of the heart realm could not be forced. It's time to leave. Dongwu Shuang stood up. Since he had read through all the manuals, it was time for him to leave. Dongwu Shuang looked around the training room, looking at every corner in detail. His gaze also landed on some of the scars on the walls. Many of these scars had stopped halfway through. There was actually not a single finished product. Emperor Jueyun was cultivating here. He should have comprehended something and thus casually drew on the walls. Dongwu Shuang guessed. It was very common for experts to casually draw on the walls of a cultivation ground. Some of the truly completed absolute arts should have been written into an ancient book. These incomplete ones were casually left on the walls. Before I leave, I should take a look at these scars once more. Perhaps I might be able to gain something from them. Dongwu Shuang looked at them carefully. The more he looked, the more he frowned. Because it was too difficult. Even Emperor Jueyun had not completed some absolute arts. Naturally, they were extraordinary. As he looked at the scars, he could occasionally understand some of them, but it was just a superficial understanding. As Dongwu Shuang looked at the scars, he walked along the walls. Suddenly, he came to a corner and looked at the continuous scars on the wall. There were a total of 4 scars. The first 3 were complete, while the 4th was incomplete. Clearly, this was an incomplete absolute art. Dongwu Shuang looked at the 4 scars in front of him. When in front of Dongwu Shuang, countless threads appeared, forming a complicated 3D array. Clearly, Dongwu Shuang was trying to decipher it. Dongwu Shuang had been calm all this while. But as he continued to study it, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. This is... Dongwu Shuang waved his hand, and the praying mat in the distance flew over to him. He sat down cross-legged and started to study the array. This seems to be related to my Void Walker cultivation system? ***.